Greetings, everyone, and welcome to a frightening yet challenging episode of Monster Party.
Monster Party!
Monster Party!
Monster Party! Oh, wow.
Ooh,
Man. Someone's got
someone-
their cocktail.
Someone's come to win.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I am so happy to be with you, gents, one more time.
I'm glad. I'm glad.
And I
Yeah,
am,
who are you?
I am Matt Weinhold.
I, by the way, am Shawn Sheridan.
I'm Larry Stroth.
And I'm James Gonis.
And this episode, I am telling you, I don't even know what it is. Sean got a hold of us today and said, I've got an idea for an episode.
A brilliant idea.
It literally was.
And then
pretty
he
much.
ran it by us, and I was like, good Lord, that could work.
This is a little different, a little like Matt said. This is a challenge.
We're shaking things up.
Yes, this is literally like anything can happen and will.
Sean, what is our topic?
We are calling this topic Mad Movie Smackdown.
Mad Movie Smackdown!
And what this is I think our generation, especially horror and sci-fi fans, we grew up reading guidebooks, reference books,
Guidebooks.
film books.
Yeah, they would tell you.
We had a thing called books.
Yes, like encyclopedias on horror and sci-fi movies. This is different from
Imagine if someone printed Google.
yeah, right.
Yes,
So
yes,
it's,
Matt.
It's the antithesis of like going on the internet and looking up a movie or looking up the top 20 horror films of this week. Or
Yeah, and you got to wade through a bunch of
the 100 best sci-fi movies of all
cheating.
time. No, it's not that. We're talking about guidebooks, reference books, encyclopedias.
Some of them maybe coffee table.
Yeah, on films that are in the horror, sci-fi, fantasy genres, written by people who are like us.
Like
who
us.
love this
And-
stuff, who live this stuff.
And Sean, may I add, there's a lot of stuff in these books that aren't on one of those top 20 horror films of all time.
these are
This is
written with
real
love, with
stuff,
real research.
Yes.
And there's nothing, at least for me, there's nothing I like better than curling up with a good sci-fi horror guidebook and literally going through and seeing all the entries. Oh my god! Like, wait, what's this movie? I never heard of this movie.
Well-
That's how I end up seeking out so many of these
Sure.
films from these books.
There was
right?
a time when I was going through the Psychotronic Encyclopedia of Film
One
and
of the
just
best.
going through them and going, oh, where's this movie? And
Yeah.
trying to find it.
Yeah,
And
so-
it was, some of them were very difficult to find.
Yeah, and
these are like printed windows to a world.
Absolutely.
That, I mean, we were already fans of this stuff. That's
Yeah.
why we'd buy these books. But this was another way to like find out about all these like nooks and crannies of all this stuff.
So, Sean, describe the rules of this game.
Okay, so what it is we have several of these guidebooks that we all have laid out on the table here.
Yeah.
So it's kind of going to be like when you do crank calls and you were a kid, you'd grab the phone book.
Whoa.
Grab the phone book, you'd flip it open, and you wouldn't look, and you would just put your finger down on a phone number, a name, right? And
What
and then-
movie had that as the basis of it?
Ooh, I don't know. Which one?
I Saw What You Did.
William Castle.
William
Very
Castle.
Good. Yes, that's right. They called the guy.
Two teenage girls making prank calls,
That's right. Good
going
one.
through the phone book. They put their finger on a name. They call the number, and this guy has just killed his wife.
Yeah, I think it's John Ireland. I think played him, right?
I believe you're right. Yeah.
But
That's
I
right.
just want to point out, we're not suggesting that anyone do this because now with today's technology, people can like track you down. This is something.
Wait a minute, what?
So we're
For
not
a prank
well,
phone call?
We're not saying this.
No,
but-
they'll track you down if you kill your wife.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
so
But the prank
Sean,
phone call, I think,
we've
is
got-
cool.
Anyway, the idea behind this is a similar idea. We're each going to take a turn, and we're going to each take one of the guidebooks and not look, flip it open, and put our finger down on an entry, and whatever it is, whatever that movie is, we're going to talk about it. These are all like encyclopedia reference type books. So
Right.
they're all just filled with little write-ups about movies, horror,
Right.
sci-fi.
So
fan-
who knows what
anything
we're
could
gonna talk
happen.
about?
Anything.
And to help us go through this,
Yes.
we have an amazing guest.
An amazing
Yes.
guest, a return guest.
Yes.
It's been a
Right.
while,
Yes,
and
it
we're
has.
so happy to have him back.
Oh, because we've wanted him back for a while.
And
Yes.
I think we can all say a lovely guy, great friend, actor, writer, director,
Man about
dancer, Ken Daly.
Ken Daly!
Right,
Ken
Ken.
Daly is in the house.
Okay.
Hello. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be back.
Thank
We're
you.
so happy to have you. Now, are you excited about
Are you nervous?
SmackDown?
I am excited and terrified.
As you should
Because I
be.
think it's going to make us all look like we don't know what we're talking about.
No.
see.
I may be right.
You know what? I beg to differ, sir. I really do. I think.
He's already whipping out the sir.
No, I think
He's already mad at you for no reason.
No, because he suggested, oh, you're all going to look like idiots. No, I
He
think
was
there's a
talking
lot of.
mostly about himself.
Oh,
But I think if it's something we don't know about, it'll then enlighten us. Maybe it's something,
absolutely.
hey, we have to check out
This,
this
is,
movie.
this is sort of how I used to buy records by their covers.
Yeah,
yeah.
I would
totally.
go to the used record store and go, well, this is a weird cover, and I'd go and listen to it. It
Right,
was great.
right.
Usually.
And
Yeah,
maybe
how
some
many
of our,
Nazareth albums were you disappointed by?
Also, but maybe some of our listeners will know these movies if we don't too. You know,
Yeah.
so it could be,
so they
we'll
can
see.
play along with us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so we're all going to learn.
Yes,
I think
yes, I think we
during
are.
this
And if you know,
time together.
if you know the movie, just yell it at your podcast playing device.
No, because I will say it's not like we've never admitted knowing everything. You
But
know,
I'll bet a lot of our listeners have a lot of these books.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
We're gonna announce every book that
But
as you read it.
Ken pointed out, Ken has recommended a lot of movies to me. We recommended films to you. We all know a lot of movies, but
We're a bunch of recommenders.
we are we're
That's right.
the League of Recommenders. But when you get into these books, these encyclopedia books, you realize, oh my God, there's so many movies that have been made. And then you get into the foreign market, like, oh
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Like there's so much that we haven't even seen yet. And this could help that journey.
And this, as a kid, these books were a way to keep enjoying these movies when you didn't have
Right.
Yes.
Right.
VHS. even,
Sure,
you know.
yeah.
Before that, you would look through these books and
Yeah.
remember the movies that you'd seen.
Any like stills and photos,
Yeah.
you just study those over and over
But
again.
how many times did this happen to you when you'd read one of the descriptions and you'd go, that can either be the greatest movie ever or terrible.
Right.
And most of the time they're terrible. But
and sometimes when a critic gets a little nasty, and they go, "Oh, this
John
is
Stanley.
Yeah, no, well, John.
He gets
Stanley,
pretty-
Hey,
There's a lot of
listen,
stuff he
listen.
doesn't like.
Now, okay,
And I
so
love him.
I have John Stanley's Creature Features
I do
movie
too.
guide, Strikes Again.
Yeah.
and it's a great book. The thing that gets me is, Matt and I, growing up in Northern California, we watched just about every Creature Features episode, and there's so much more in this book.
Yeah.
You know?
But doesn't
Right.
it seem like if it gets a little too gory or it gets a little too sleazy, he's put off by it. And it's strange.
I think he does have different tastes than some of
Like
these
it's
other.
like he almost wants to come off maybe a little too highbrow.
Well, it's funny. I heard a thing about critics. Like critics, they say, "Oh, you need to try to be nasty or snotty to make people, to get their attention or something."
so
I
that's
wonder
what
if
you've
they-
been doing.
No, what have I been nasty to you?
I'm
But you know what?
teasing
That's why I was often upset by the Leonard Maltin's movie guide, that book, because he would often just trash a lot of good horror films.
I mean,
A lot of good,
did he admit, or maybe he didn't admit, but he actually had other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Now,
did.
I don't know. Isn't that true?
Well, yeah, he had a
other
team of people doing reviews, but I
Right.
just thought
Really?
overall,
I think
yeah.
so.
But overall, I thought sometimes they
I used
were
to like
too
him.
tough.
No, I still. Come on, I still do. It's a
No,
world
he
of
gave
entertainment.
Romero's Day of the Dead had like 1.5 stars in the Leonard Maltin book. It's like, screw this. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it was just some guy, writer for hire, who had his own opinion.
But wouldn't you agree?
Right.
Also, sometimes it's like a reviewer may be turned off by a film at one time, but as time goes by, sometimes maybe there's something about the film that resonates with the audience.
That's
and then
happened to me.
reviewer, the reviewer,
sure.
says, maybe I should look back at that thing. I think that's happened with Roger Ebert.
Well, Roger Ebert famously with Night of the Living Dead,
yes.
which he
Yes.
gave
Yeah.
a pan to originally on the basis of it being at a kids' matinee and how it was horrifying children.
Wait,
but that was
what?
that was his basis for the critique. It's
It
like
showed it at children's matinee.
it did, yeah. At the time, it did.
That's
yeah.
wrong.
Well, yeah, Siskel and Ebert were also notorious for trashing slasher films and the whole.
Yeah, they were a little above some
yes,
movies.
yeah, which is bullshit.
But they got past, or Ebert got past it.
And
Yeah,
then,
right,
right.
and then, of course, there are the other kind of movies where you like them, and then you watch them again, and you go, "Oh, wow,
Yeah.
what
Sure,
was
that
I
happens
on?"
too.
All right. Well, there's some truth to that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that we're all just stalling because we're afraid to
Yeah, we
play the
are
game.
afraid.
I think we should get started here.
I think
Yeah,
we
let's
should
do
play
it.
it. And Sean, of course.
Yes,
you are the
you
master
start.
of
I will go
ceremonies.
first.
Okay,
You
I
should
will go.
start this.
And
Sean,
I am going to pick from the Psychotronic Encyclopedia of Film by Michael Weldon, one of my favorite guidebooks.
If you don't have this, Pick it up.
Great book.
So good.
So good. All right.
So he is opening,
and it
the
says
book.
on the cover, it says over 3,000 of the wildest movies ever made, hundreds of rare illustrations.
And we're going to describe each and every one of them too.
All right, guys, here I go. Ready? I'm not looking. I'm throwing open the book and putting down my finger.
I'm closing my eyes.
Dracula has risen from the grave. 1969 Hammer.
Okay.
Now that's
a good one.
That's a great.
That's a great one.
This is
Hammer.
Christopher Lee.
Yes,
Christopher Lee.
And you know that after Horror of Dracula, there was a bunch of time that went by where he didn't do any of the vampire movies.
Right.
'Cause
He didn't want to play Dracula.
No,
again.
he was above that.
Yeah, he didn't want to be typecast.
Well,
get
was
bored
this
after a while
Well,
doing it.
wait. After didn't he go on to do Man with the Golden Gun? It was.
Yeah, that was like in the early 70s.
Wait.
Later.
How
Yeah.
long?
Yeah.
How many? Like 3 years later? 4
Well,
years?
was like
it took 3 years
73.
to grow the nipple.
Oh, I forgot. And you know,
Yeah.
we'll talk more about that on our James Bond show eventually. But I kind of think that once he did that, he was like, "I'm big now. I'm like, I've made it. I'm not doing Dracula."
Give us some information about
Yeah.
this film from the book.
Yeah,
What
this,
does it
okay,
say?
this, as it says in the book, the third Christopher Lee Dracula film is also the most religious-oriented.
This is true. Yes.
A weak priest provides the blood to revive the vampire and becomes his servant. A girl drained of her blood is found hanging upside down inside a church bell. That was a really memorable moment.
I saw this in the theater.
Yeah, completely ruined the bell, but no one talks about that. That's fine.
And he said, and Weldon says, actually, except for the horror of Dracula, this is the strongest and best looking entry in the series. And this is something I remember too about this. The publicity centered on starlet Veronica Carlson and a silly ad saying, "Boy, does he like to give a good hickey?" And it showed her with like
I hated that.
two band-aids
I
on her.
hated
Remember
that.
that?
I
On her
hated
neck.
that.
Matt, I'm with
Yeah.
you. I hated that. I was offended by it.
Yeah.
It made me mad. But
I agree.
But
I'm with
Good
you.
film, though.
I will say though, in the film, when you see the bite marks, you know, in some of the early films, like two little holes. It's more than that. It's like
Savagely
They're encrusted.
kind of-
They're
Yeah,
crusty. Yeah,
yeah.
It's like they're kind of brown. Oh, Ken.
Yeah, they're
It's
wounds.
intense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's.
good.
I don't remember it, but I have
Oh,
seen it.
dude,
yeah.
trust me. And I saw this as a kid.
Yeah.
As it was a double feature, and I remember seeing that whole bell scene when the priest tries to pull
He's like
on the bell.
a young like assistant goes up there
Yeah.
to try to do it or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Freddie Francis directed it. Great Freddie Francis. He directed lots of great Hammer films.
Yeah.
I always
yeah.
wondered about
Started
those-
off as a cinematographer, right?
I think so, yeah.
going back to the bite marks. I always wondered about when it was just two holes. Like, did they suck the blood through the fangs?
That's a,
When I was
you
a
know,
kid?
I've
Like,
always-
weird.
No,
but it's so
no.
weird.
That's
No,
why I always
it's
thought. I always
no.
thought the fangs in Nosferatu were more appropriate and more practical.
Yeah.
because they're like right in the front
It's
and
the
like you
two,
can.
the two, you know,
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
a weird
It's
way
not
to.
seem
You
like
think
the
it's
best
weird?
way to suck
Yeah.
Okay,
blood.
no, I don't think it's weird
I would
at
just
all.
bite a
Okay.
hole and drink the blood out. instead of-
yeah.
Isn't that what he's
bite?
doing?
You
but,
bite?
But how do you get in those two holes right in there?
Okay, see, you haven't bit a woman's neck, my friend. Like
Yeah.
the way
Not
you know,
in-
you need really
not in
need
years.
to get.
Not to draw blood.
No, I mean, you know, right,
Really?
To
in that
inflame passion.
right in that gap, you know, right in that gap of the neck, kind of
Yeah,
a thing.
yeah.
You know, but I think if you did that,
But it's
you
almost
know-
like they have to stick their teeth out and go and stick them in.
Well, they're not. But they're.
Well, you,
but that's-
what you're
that's
making
more
it
the-
look like you're like Homer Simpson.
I know it's always, it just
Ooh.
always struck me as weird, and also the holes are usually not the right space apart.
Right.
Well, that's
for the
true.
teeth.
That's
And also,
true.
when you see them bite, they're there, kind of holding on. They're supposed to be sucking the blood.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it doesn't seem like they do it long enough. Like, wouldn't you sit there and drain every drop of blood?
Yeah.
It seems like they're for 5 seconds and then they're done.
Well,
Yeah.
isn't there,
Take a
isn't there
shot.
different?
Just take a
isn't-
shot.
Wait a minute. Isn't there different ways to do it? Like if you're going to turn someone,
Right, that's
you
true.
take less blood.
Yes.
But
That's
if you're
true.
just going to have a meal, you know, that's
Right,
the
that's
whole,
true. If you're-
the whole
if you're turning
Megillah,
them,
as
yeah.
they
True.
say in Hammer films.
Yeah, but Sean, if you think about it, if you really think about it, I mean, the heart when it's pumping, it's not like going really
Right.
fast.
So you
like
have
it's
to-
shooting
just-
it.
you need to
Yeah.
suck.
Wow,
suction.
someone
Yeah.
doesn't have the same anxiety issues that I have.
Well, I'm just saying that when he would bite the neck, the blood is being forced out, and you're sucking.
Sure.
But
The
also
the jugular,
the
so
jugular,
you're getting
and
it
it's going
right.
at an even pace. Dun, 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 dun.
Right,
So
right.
it's like it makes sense to me, how a vampire would bite and then. And it has to go. I think you can only drink the blood while the heart is pumping. Because once the heart stops,
Okay.
It goes off. It's not as. It's like sour milk.
exactly.
And you can't drink more than a gallon without barfing immediately.
And then you have to wait
like
an
milk.
hour before you swim.
No, maybe this is more information than what was in the movie, but
I don't know. I think there's a scene in the movie that's about that.
That I think was a really.
I love that one.
That's
Yeah,
good
it's
one.
And what I do like the religious element of that film too.
Yeah,
I like the
yes.
fact that the protagonist is an atheist.
Right.
Yes.
Who talk about the thing that'll prove you wrong.
Yes.
right.
James, do you remember seeing this?
I do not remember it. I'm sure
Okay,
I've seen
goodbye.
it. I do not remember it.
It's a good one.
No,
I've got to check it out.
Definitely remember
It's a
the
really good
bell.
one.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
got to
Nice
go
one,
back and
Sean.
watch all the Hammer films.
Yeah.
No
You should, really.
pushing in that one.
Yeah, they're on Blu-ray now.
All right.
Yeah.
Matt, you want to try this now?
Sure.
You want to pick a book from our
I'm
vast
gonna
selection
try.
here.
Sean brought one called Horror Films of the 1980s.
The
Horror
worst period of
films.
horror
And
films.
so, and it's by John
I
Kenneth.
don't know if that's really
Muir.
true.
Muir.
John
Yeah.
Kenneth
No, it's
Muir.
not.
Yep. Cool.
I think it was a Renaissance,
This
my
is by
friend.
McFarlane Publishing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Correct.
I was
McFarlane.
just being contrary.
McFarlane Publishing. And
they put out good
it's
stuff.
a big,
Yeah.
thick hardcover book with a lot of movies.
It has a great picture from
Lost
Boys.
yeah,
Boys.
Lost Boys, one of Matt's favorite films.
Yeah, which
really
makes
good
me doubt this
vampire
book a little
rules.
bit, but okay, whatever. We'll go with it. It's one that people remember.
One of
That's
the ones
fine.
I threw the
That's
vampire
fine.
rules out the window.
Matt
Okay.
is opening the book.
And I'm flipping through it, and boom, The Hunger.
That's a good one.
Wow, another vampire movie.
Yeah.
We talked about
Wow.
this on another
Interesting.
episode.
Yeah.
This was by Tony Scott,
Tony Scott,
director,
Ridley Scott's brother.
and with David Bowie,
Catherine
and
Deneuve,
Catherine Deneuve.
Susan Sarandon.
beautiful.
and
Catherine
and it
Deneuve.
it's very stylized. It's very
Super
slick,
stylized.
It's glossy. It's kind of like Vampire MTV a little bit. You know,
A little
It's
bit, yeah.
It's got some really. Do you remember this?
I do. This is one that I watched a long time ago, and for me, I need to see it again
That's
because
what it was for me too, because I watched it more recently and appreciated it more.
I think when I saw it came off a little too arty-farty for me.
It's a little
It
like a
is.
Nagel painting.
yeah, it is
Exactly.
But if you're in
The
the mood for
80s,
that,
so
yeah, but if you're in the mood for that,
Yeah.
the whole idea of like how Deneuve is this like immortal vampire, and she has all these lovers, both male and female, and they're always going to grow old. They're always going to grow old and die though, and she's always going to be left alone. And David Bowie plays one of her lovers, and he's aging. And it's good. It's that part of it I really like, And she seduces Susan Sarandon. Which
Susan
is also
Sarandon
great.
she looks great
Yeah,
in that
yeah.
movie.
It's good.
She always looks great. Though.
She does.
You know what?
As
She
does
looks
Catherine
great. She
does.
Deneuve.
Yeah.
Yes,
but
yes.
what I liked about it was sexy, it was slick, it updated to me. Matt, I saw when the movie came out, and it was slick. It was yes, it was artsy, but I think it just raised the bar of the whole
Yeah, it's
vampire.
beautifully
and the
shot.
thing,
Yeah.
and the thing
Yeah.
the thing I loved about this is when I think of vampire, if a vampire makes you into a vampire, it's like, okay, I'm going to bite you and let you drink a little of this blood, so now you're going to be a vampire too.
They
Kind of like
actually say that when they do.
Well, no. Well, I'm just saying, like an
There's a
interview
preamble
with a
that they
vampire.
read.
My logic is, so now you are a vampire forever too, but not in this film. It's like you
Right.
are young for a while, but eventually you will age, and that aging happens
Right.
rapidly and
Right.
fast. It's kind of like, let's say you last maybe 75 years, 100 years, or whatever, and it's like you're young and good looking and stuff for about like 99 of those years, and then
Right.
that
It
end
happens
comes
fast.
fast.
And so, remind me, what happens? What do you need to do to stave that off? Is it just more and more blood?
Well, no,
more frequently.
No, that's one of the cool things about the film. When David Bowie realizes, you know what, I'm not feeling too well,
Right,
and he
right.
sees this thing. It's like, oh, well, there are these doctors or scientists that may have figured out some
They're
way
studying
to
like effects of aging.
So he goes to see Susan Sarandon.
right,
Okay.
who works at this kind of
That's right.
clinic or
And
whatever.
while he waits for her in the office, he
Yeah, in
ages.
the waiting
And-
room, he like
and, yeah,
that's
turns
cool.
into an old man.
And it's,
yeah.
and
Yeah, I need to see this again.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And what's interesting is I always thought of David Bowie as being this really flashy guy, and he's actually more subdued in this.
He's really good in it. And
He's a good actor.
I love the opening of the movie too, because Catherine Deneuve and Bowie, before he starts aging, they're like going to this like hip '80s club, like Bauhaus is playing,
Yeah.
Bela Lugosi's dead, and
Yeah.
they like pick up these like young sexy club goers just to take him back.
It was a
and kill
place
him.
where I
Really
could never
cool.
go. As a, I
Because you had
No.
you had spandex.
yeah, well,
You
know,
discussed your love of spandex previously.
It's like, look, I don't want you to knock spandex because there was a time.
Really?
see here. No, Ken, back me up here.
Do I need to bring up?
No,
Do I
no.
need to bring up Megaforce again?
I was just going to say that.
It's easy to laugh. It's easy to laugh. But Ken, back me up here. Back
Yeah.
in that time in
Yeah.
'80s, spandex was cool. It was sexy. It was like everyone.
Ken?
was
If you're
wearing-
in a hairband. I
Well,
guess.
okay,
Sure,
but
sure.
but it was like
Yeah.
even I looked at those people.
But
I looked-
parachute pants were also cool then.
Yeah. Do you remember Angel Flight's pants? Did
Yeah,
you wear
sure.
parachute? Did you have those?
Trust me.
You didn't have
I was
those?
already wearing vintage clothes then. I hated.
you were one of those
I hated
kids.
the style of the
Parachute
80s,
pants were 80s?
Yeah.
Yeah,
thought they were-
yeah.
Ripstop nylon parachute pants.
Okay.
Wow.
I always thought they were like, was it end of 80s or?
Probably.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you know,
All right.
this is
That was a
great,
good one.
but
Look,
I
two
do
great
want to say
ones.
that's a
It's
good
worth
one.
checking out.
I don't
Though.
know.
Yeah.
Can we get the
I will
Encyclopedia of
revisit it.
Pants?
I'm glad that we did this
Yeah,
because
yeah.
now
Well,
I
see?
want to revisit this
Now,
movie.
I also saw The Hunger in a theater, and it left me really cold. And I'd be hard pressed to see it again, even after this
But it
conversation.
is a very cold movie.
It was all
It's-
style over substance for me. I didn't give a shit about any of the characters.
But have
I
you
love
seen have you
James.
seen it again recently
James,
though?
you're-
I'm
why,
not saying
why would
it's
I
a
waste
masterpiece.
My time? I'd rather see
though, it's
Dracula's Risen from the Grave.
James, can I ask you a
very
question?
two very different movies.
Did you watch MTV at all?
Yes, I did.
You know, like Duran Duran, and didn't.
But that's MTV. I don't want it in a horror movie if I'm going to a theater.
yeah, Larry.
I think no.
I didn't like it on
beg
MTV.
I beg to differ. Really? Yeah, the cool.
Hey, if
slick-
anything, it's worth seeing for Dick Smith's excellent old
yeah.
age makeup.
Sure.
It's fantastic in that movie.
But now wait a minute though. If we're gonna bring out the old Dick Smith old age makeup, how many friggin' movies did he drag that one through?
Oh yeah, but he's
Might as
because
well
he's
watch
the best at
Octoman
doing
for
it.
Rick Baker is great.
I would watch Octoman for that.
Yeah.
Who are you?
The character is an Octoman.
Who are you? You're Mr. Oh, let me criticize the great makeup here.
No,
by
I'm
the
just
great-
saying.
Oh,
that
old
was his name
people.
before he had a change.
Okay.
I am saying he has used that one in a lot.
Yes,
It's all. I
yes.
think it's the same mask too, wasn't it?
No,
for,
no,
little
no.
big man.
Yes,
No,
yes,
no.
it does
It looks like
yes.
that. It looks like that a
It
lot.
wasn't the
It
same
does.
sculpt. It couldn't
Oh,
have been.
yeah.
Because that's
he
how
took-
people age.
He didn't look like Dustin Hoffman. He looked like David Bowie.
Yeah, that's right.
yeah.
See, James is. See, you're trying to bring down a cheap joke. It's not.
Are you trying to say
I-
Dick Smith was
that-
lazy?
You cannot make me like The Hunger. I did not. Like
I'm not trying to. I'm questioning
You
you.
will like The Hunger.
Ken, did you see The Hunger?
Yeah, I don't remember anything about it except for
Okay.
the makeup.
Well,
Am
there
I
you
the
go.
only one that
then, yeah.
remembers
And Catherine
this?
Deneuve.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I
this.
saw it on cable.
Okay. This
I
is
don't
great.
care. As much as
fully
I
focused on it.
deeply love and respect James, I am going to see The Hunger again.
And I will not. And that's
All right,
where
well,
we
then we'll
All
be
right.
curious to see what
Oh,
you
no,
do.
you're gonna see
I'm
it.
not saying it's the greatest movie ever made, but
Then
if
I
you're
won't
if
see
you're
it
in the mood
I don't think I
for
did say
something
that.
very, very 80s and very
I think
stylish.
Go in thinking, wear some special
Go in
leather.
expecting the worst movie ever.
No, go in wearing some leather pants and spandex and slick your
It's-
hair back.
Look, it's
Fingerless
no man
gloves.
called Flintstone.
Oh,
But
Yeah.
now what is?
The makeup in that movie is fantastic.
yeah,
Although-
the old man makeup.
I will say this though: if you're going to sort of go back and look at it as ahead of its time, when the AIDS crisis was breaking out, it was sort of
No, but there is a little bit of that element that like
Yes.
parallel to it
right,
in the movie.
but it,
there is.
it hadn't been in epidemic proportions, if I
Right.
remember correctly,
Right.
at that time. So it was, in a way, it was prescient. So you could go back and look at it that way and give
There
it
you
credit
go.
for that.
So there's
And,
a-
and stylistically, for its time, it was ahead.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it was a hit.
I'm saying
No,
ahead,
it was
ahead
not.
of its time.
Yeah, I'm
I-
curious
I
though if
don't
it made. I don't know if it was like a
It's
big
funny because
box office hit.
I
though.
thought I was as many of us are here, a huge fan of Alien and thinking Ridley Scott. Oh, he's fantastic. Well, what's his brother going to be like? And I thought the movie was really slick.
You know, I
thought-
worked with him.
Yes, I know. We know the story, and it's a great
Wow,
story.
boy, you
But
you
we
do
do not want to hear it again.
you do not want to hear that story. Wow.
No,
Okay, no, it's fine.
No, it was a great story that you told on our celebrity encounter story, and it's
Okay.
a great
Oh,
it's a
okay,
great
wow.
story. But
Oh yeah, yeah.
No,
okay.
no, it's fine. No. Let's talk about Dick Smith some more.
I thought we'd go to Ken. Ken, why don't you
Another
pick
great
a
porn name,
Grab
by
a
the way.
book and tell us what the book is and who wrote it.
This is the
into the mic?
Encyclopedia of Horror Movies, complete film reference, for 450 illustrations in black and white from the Cobalt collection, edited by Phil Hardy.
All right.
A lot of people.
Right.
Lot of
Right.
people to divide the money up.
And on the cover you have
Don't look. You can't
You
look.
can't look. You
have-
got to just flip
no,
it.
I know, I
and
did.
Jack
Okay.
Nicholson
You did?
from The
I put my
Shining
finger in
is
the
on
book
the
and
cover.
opened it.
Oh, okay.
all right.
all
Okay. What do you got? What do you got then?
The Flesh and Blood Show.
What? The Flesh and Blood Show? I don't know this. What's
heard
the
that- heard of that title.
1972.
1972.
The Flesh and Blood Show?
Although this film has a window dressing of sexploitation and some misguided humor, it maintains a degree of charm, no doubt due to Jessup, who had directed Catgirl.
Huh. Okay.
Now, these Phil Hardy encyclopedias include a lot of foreign movies. A lot of movies that didn't get general distribution here or have ever been shown on television. And that's one of the things that makes these books fascinating.
I don't
Well, let's
think
hear
that's
this out,
fun,
though.
yeah, what is
Give us a
that?
little more.
It says it's a sadistic sexploitation movie,
I'm there.
which is nice.
Yeah.
A company of actors arrive to rehearse a grand guignol play for an employer none of them has met. The unseen employer turns out to be a maniac. Good. An ex-leading actor whose hatred for the profession has festered ever since he murdered his wife and her lover by entombing them following a performance of Othello.
Oh, okay. It sounds good.
Does it have
I
like
think
a
it
heard
could
of
be
it,
about
but-
me.
Burdened with a ludicrously ineffective 3D conclusion,
3D?
Walker's
Really? What the
tawdry
fuck?
direction
Oh,
nearly smothers Shaughnessy's mildly interesting script.
Is there another title for it, too? Is there an alternate
Peter Walker?
title?
Is it Peter Walker, the director? He's done several.
Yes, Peter Walker.
Okay, yeah, he's done several interesting films.
Like,
I think, yeah.
other than the Flesh and Blood
No,
show.
he did one called.
The Flesh and Flesh show?
Oh my gosh, I'm blanking.
Frightmare?
Frightmare, yes.
Oh,
No,
How did
I'm
I know?
serious.
wow.
Serious.
Okay. And are any of
That
those
was-
movies
that's,
good?
That's like
Here
a
in the
cannibal. That's like I think like a cannibal film.
I do not know this one.
Flesh and Blood. Nobody knows.
Has
the
anyone
Flesh
seen
and
this
Blood
one?
show.
I have not.
Nope.
Flesh and Blood show,
The
but it
title
has a
sounds vaguely
3D
familiar.
ending?
That's kind of cool.
Why would
Yeah.
it have a 3D
So he just put the glasses on for
Just
the
to-
ending.
Yeah.
or is it
Was
the
it a William Castle production?
Is it the
Yeah, no.
reviewer is just trying to be?
No, I think
No, I think
I don't know.
it sounds like there was an actual 3D.
You know,
ending, right?
it's kind of like there were some 3D films which have minimal 3D action in it, except there's like a couple moments in the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, or
Like-
color too. Back in the day, they would have like
Yeah, that would
the
be a big
ending would be
deal.
in
Yeah,
color.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
Like in what's Hitchcock's Dial M for Murder. To me, there was only like one great 3D moment in it.
Look, when it comes to 3D, we have to admit the Three Stooges knew how to do it. You get a syringe and you put it right in someone's
with
eye.
fingers, and you throw a pie.
And you know,
Yeah.
we're going to do a 3D show.
We're gonna do a Three
Eventually we are.
Stooges show too.
Yeah.
No, I don't know about that, but
the Three Stooges show.
I am not familiar with this one.
No. I think I would love to see Grand Guignol make a comeback, though. See some of
Yeah.
those plays.
Yeah.
that would. You're right.
Wasn't
though.
Violent,
Zombie Joe's was
it kind of like that.
kind
Yeah,
of
there's
that.
a place near here that does a
You're right. I'm
Are they
surprised.
still open?
horror blackouts. Yeah,
Like
Okay.
live,
Yeah,
live
there's-
shows. Yeah,
yeah,
They
Zombie
should,
Joe's.
totally.
Well, James, do you want to get
underground.
James? Would you like to pick one?
Sure.
Which book are you going to pick here?
Here's another big McFarlane book, also by John Kenneth Muir, horror films of the 1970s.
Hey.
This one has the baby from It's Alive on the cover.
Okay, now we're talking.
Oh,
Yeah.
Great film.
That's a great
The
picture.
70s was just a great decade.
Yes, they
So
were.
let me
For
just
everything.
go randomly to the middle, and the title is Carrie by Brian De Palma.
Oh,
Never heard of it. Don't know that one.
Good one. Good one.
Peter Straub?
such a great,
Fantastic. Launched the career
Absolutely
of
terrific,
Stephen
yeah.
King.
Sissy
And,
Spacek.
Sissy Spacek,
Hello.
certainly,
She's an
certainly.
Academy Award winner.
I wasn't finished.
Brian De Palma.
Certainly
sorry.
Brian
John
De
Travolta.
Palma, Travolta, Nancy Allen.
Everybody was launching this one.
Give us some
Yeah,
words
really.
about Carrie.
what can you tell us
What
about
a perfect
Carrie?
choice for you.
Yeah.
James.
Wow, it's
Now-
spooky.
Carrie is like it's a maybe De Palma's most perfect film and one of the most perfect adaptations of a Stephen King novel. One that even improves on the source material. Spacek is incredible. She's very sympathetic, and I'm not going to rehash the plot because everybody knows what Carrie's about.
Thank
It's been
you.
remade like twice.
But that original version, the De Palma version,
Yeah.
gets better every time I
And
watch
so
it.
much
Really,
better than
it's
the remakes as well.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like a
It really
perfect,
is good.
perfect movie.
It really is. It
It's
really is.
beautifully shot.
Who played the mom?
Piper
Laurie.
Laurie.
Yeah.
Oscar,
So great.
Oscar nominated.
Yeah.
One of the few Oscar nominations for a horror film. Betty Buckley as the gym
Yeah.
teacher.
Oh, yes. Went on to Eight is Enough.
Right.
Yeah.
And Cats.
Yeah, she did.
That's right.
No, it's great.
Yeah.
You know, I actually saw the Broadway musical
Of Cats?
of Carrie.
I did. I saw Carrie.
I was
the
always
musical,
curious about
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Was it any
Southgate
good?
or something.
No.
Was it like was it more parody? Was it like making fun of it?
No.
The one I saw was Straight Ahead.
Yeah, Straight.
The one that was sort of in the gym. Is that the one you saw, or you saw it on Broadway?
I saw it on Broadway.
Oh, I saw it locally.
It was
What, by kids in a high school? What?
I totally want to see that
actually
one.
really good. So I don't know if it's the same as.
I think the revivals did it better than it had been done on
Maybe.
Broadway. The set, it was very minimalist and was all black. And they brought
Really?
in bleachers for the gym scenes.
Okay, there was bleacher. You were sitting in bleachers for this, and it was this sort of theater in the round.
No.
But it was really.
And they just
good,
had
this
strobe
version.
lights instead of flames.
What was the
Oh, the whole place blew up at the end in this one.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Because
See, yours was better.
They
play
blew up a child's gym?
the play was performed backstage in a theater.
It was one night only.
So there was a big curtain. One of the walls was
Right.
a curtain, and it had bleachers all around. And you were basically in a gym where there was a basketball hoop and everything.
A gymboree.
And so they do most of the play there.
Yeah.
And then for the prom, the curtain opened and there's a whole the whole front stage.
Wow.
Open.
That's
so
clever.
It doubled the size of the room, and then the bleachers moved around. It was kind of cool.
That's clever, yeah.
So they're much better than the Broadway production.
James, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So the Broadway Carrie, what was the problem with the show?
Well,
Some of the problems.
it just didn't really translate well into a Broadway musical.
Were the songs at all catchy?
They were not. None of them were catchy.
Okay.
And I think it was Dean Pitchford who had done the songs for Fame, but they
Wow.
weren't nearly as good. And Footloose, I think he did.
Oh, and
the
I
girl
love
who played
Footloose.
Carrie looked a little bit like Fairuza Balk, if I remember correctly, and she was okay. Betty Buckley in this one played the mom.
Oh, okay.
Which was
Really?
interesting casting.
Wow.
But it just didn't work. It just, for some reason, the parts didn't come together. And the movie, on the other hand, is awesome. It's wonderful. Also, great Pino Donaggio score.
Yes,
One of
very
his
good.
first in Hollywood.
Yeah, I felt so sad watching it. I mean, it's such to me, it's like so incredibly sad, And I mean, with all this religious doctrine that Carrie's mother like throws at her, and I went through private school, the one issue I have though, is the little Jesus figure that they have. He has these.
You can't find that?
No, it's like
Mint in
Jesus
box.
didn't
In the-
have,
yeah, mint
no,
in box.
Jesus didn't have arrows in him. He didn't have arrows, and so I thought that was a little misleading.
Well, Mrs.
There's a painting of him with arrows.
But I don't know if that's Jesus. That might be Saint Sebastian. Saint Sebastian had the arrows in him.
But her mom was
Jewish.
Jeez.
I don't know.
Oh, okay, Mr. Jew. Okay.
Mr. Jew! Oh, the last episode of Monster Party.
Sorry, I didn't mean it like that. I meant, it's like, it's
If it were anyone else,
listen,
we'd be off the air.
No, Ken, I love you.
I love you too. I'm not
it's
And
like-
your,
it's like,
and your tribe.
No. It's like it's like you didn't
I
know.
prefer Mr. Jew.
Can we,
It's like I went to the private school. You went to the little Jewish school. So it's like I don't know what they teach there. You don't know what you didn't know. Yeah, I'm just
Hey,
saying.
But I just remember seeing
and all these
stop playing with your dreidel and listen to the man.
and, Ken, there are all these saints. It's like most kids at private school. You're named after a saint, and most saints were martyrs.
Yeah.
And so it's like they're all killed in all these different ways. Okay, and it's like
a lot crucified, I
Yeah,
imagine.
well. See, some were like stoned
there
to
were-
death.
yeah, well-
Some were
we know
thrown
that
in
was a very
grill.
popular way of
Yes,
killing people.
yes,
Yes.
exactly. So
There and on the planet
so
of the
you
apes.
know what, and so no. So in a way, it's like it's true. If you didn't go to private school or go to catechism, you don't know. You don't know. You see the arrows. Oh, I guess Jesus was. And also, he had a lot of hair in that. That little figure that she had. It had a lot of furry.
Okay, look.
Isn't how specific you're getting?
Were there Native Americans back then?
What?
Who's going to shoot the arrows?
That's true.
Oh no the road no Ken, come on now, come on.
Listen, Dr. Jewistenstein.
Yes, Romans had the arrows.
Wow. So I just think it's interesting that you are fixated on the craftsmanship of the Jesus
action
figure. Because look, Toy Biz, it took a little time for them to get the X-Men figures right.
Yeah.
And now they're
Ooh,
you
they
know,
should do the Carrie Jesus. That would be
And you
really
know
good.
what else?
actually.
Ken,
Yeah.
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Wasn't it kind of weird too when they're in the gym and after this pig's blood has been dropped on Carrie and she kind of freaks out and she starts doing all this funky stuff and there's a split screen stuff. James, is this one of the first times they were
De Palma had done it
used to
before.
love
He did it in Sisters.
He did
He
it in
does like that.
Sisters, Phantom of the Paradise. He,
He
did
got
it.
it
Yeah.
from who? Not Fellini. It was
Godard.
But
Yeah, probably,
But
yeah.
Ken, it's not a device that people use on a
No,
regular
absolutely.
basis.
Yeah.
Godard. Wow. And you thought you weren't going to know anything.
Of course, I'm probably wrong, but while we're on the subject of Carrie, I want to bring this up. It's common knowledge. It's nothing that hasn't already been well documented, but I read somewhere, might have been Fangoria, that that dream sequence in the end that Amy Irving has,
Yeah.
with the jump scare with the hand coming out of the grave, that De Palma, for subliminal effect, had shot the entire thing not only in slow motion but backwards.
Oh, just to be like
just
weird.
just to give the audience an unsettled feeling.
Oh,
Okay.
cool.
So after reading that, I went and got the VHS and I played that scene, and you couldn't really tell that it was shot backwards, except as one clue: about 100 yards in the distance, there's a car, and it's driving backwards.
So you look like that. Interesting.
Kind of like what David Lynch did with the Black Lodge.
Yeah, he
yeah,
does
yeah.
a lot of reverse.
But a little,
I did not know that though. That's a
little
great.
rougher.
That's a great
cool.
trivia.
And that scene in
Point.
Carrie always freaks me out. And the funny thing is, I've seen it a bunch of times. When it's on, it still kind of freaks me out, even though I know it's coming. It's a combination of the music. It's the music and just the way it's shot. And
To be fair, you're easily freakable.
I think
Wasn't that a funk song?
Easily.
I think Sean Cunningham too, like, readily admits that because they needed like an ending for Friday the 13th, and they looked at that for inspiration. Yeah, or ripping
And
it off,
Prophecy,
maybe.
too. Prophecy also did.
Oh yeah, totally.
all right. Well, this is
right,
That's good.
okay.
That's
so-
good. All right, you're up,
All right,
buddy.
okay. What's
so
next?
again, Ken, I apologize.
I
Just,
was also going to say that reminds me is that Carrie is really a movie about bullying.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
very
it
much.
is.
And
Probably the
anti-Semitism.
The best movie
yes.
about bullying.
Yeah, and which is one reason why it bugged me so much.
But also why I think it really holds up.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's still very relevant.
And I guess because it was popular, some studio decided, hey, let's put a new dress on the old gal, and they did a remake. Although I'm still, that classic with Sissy Spacek, the Brian De Palma one. I think if listeners haven't seen it, that's the one they should.
I only made
totally.
it through one of the remakes. I couldn't.
I think that it was one. I think it was a TV movie or TV miniseries, and then there was another theatrical remake.
I saw the Chloe,
Yeah, I've not seen that
yeah.
one.
that one.
and that was no.
Yeah,
And
they
then
also made a sequel too.
the sequel,
Carrie to the Rage.
The Rage,
which
where
is,
Amy Irving came back as the same
yeah,
character.
but it was bad though.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah.
Isn't The Fury kind of almost an unofficial
Yeah.
sequel?
Kind of. I like that movie though a lot.
I do like
that's
that
a really
movie.
fun one.
Yeah, I do like that
with
movie.
Kirk Douglas, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Andrew Stevens. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
John Cassavetes.
John Cassavetes.
Yeah.
I have a crazy story about The Fury. I was watching The Fury on TV, and this was when they first started squashing the screen over when the credits roll.
Yeah.
And so I'm watching The Fury, and what's his name? Andrew Stevens.
Stevens,
Right.
yeah.
Is like doing the thing, or she's doing it. I'm not sure, but John Cassavetes is like shaking and shuddering. And the screen squashes over, and it says John Cassavetes dead. Film at 11, and then he blows up on the other side of the screen.
God, really?
It was insane.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Wow.
That's
So the movie happened to be on the night that he died.
right before he
right-
explodes.
That's
Right when
another
it's
topic.
That's
crazy.
Horror and
weirdness.
sci-fi synchronicity.
Yeah, yeah. Really.
Wow.
That's weird.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us, Ken. So, guys, I'm gonna go look at the book, the John Stanley Creature Features Strikes Again Movie Guide.
All right,
John
well, this is
Stanley,
like a
who was
later
the
book.
Fourth edition.
fourth
Right,
edition.
okay, cool.
He was the host of Creature Features, the second host, I should say.
After Bob Wilkins,
Yes,
right?
after Bob Wilkins. And so this is the fourth edition, and it's got a great cover with a whole bunch of monsters, Frankenstein, Bride, Creature, and then there's a little E.T. Oh my gosh, there's an Ewok on it too, which I know Matt would love. Okay, so I am opening the book.
Right.
I'm paging through, and I don't know this one. It's called The Ghastly Ones, 1969.
I know the band.
The band?
Yeah, there's a band.
Probably named after that movie.
Oh,
guessing.
Sean, it says also known as Blood Rights. This period gore thriller was co-written, produced, directed by Andy Mulligan.
Andy Milligan.
Milligan?
Yeah, he's done a lot of
what
weird
a-
stuff.
With
Yeah,
a
the
madman,
title.
madman running around a mansion, chopping folks into little pieces and eating animals alive. Oh,
Cool.
Wow. I'm there.
The really ghastly one is Milligan, who remade this
There you
as
go.
Legacy of Horrors in 1978.
He remade his own movie?
Wow.
It was
Just like Hitchcock.
So this is where John Stanley he says, goes on to say,
Let me guess, he hates it.
it was just as terrible, bad, with Veronica Radbar and Maggie Rogers. So I'm not familiar with this one.
I have not seen Milligan's films. I'm familiar with, I know some of his titles.
David
Like, Ghastly Ones is one of his probably more
David
famous
Dakota
ones.
on our exploitation film and David DeVal, they talked about Andy Milligan.
That's right. That's right.
And they mentioned some really interesting stuff. And Andy Milligan is a person who I was not familiar with until they brought him up.
Me neither.
And he was a guy who did these films where they're not good, but there was something very
Like
artistic.
super low budget.
They're
like,
very
yeah.
they're artistic, or something about wardrobe and stuff. So
I think he like period pieces and stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
I have a question about the plot, and that is the little pieces part. How little are we talking about?
Well,
2-inch, 3-inch.
Well, it says
cubes.
Well, it says little piece. It doesn't say anything more than that. Now, if you're asking me, Larry, does this give you enough information to make you want to seek this film
I was
out?
just going to ask the exact same thing.
Maybe because if listeners listen to the exploitation episode, the guys Dakota and Duval do talk about Milligan a lot. And
Is that his most famous movie?
It may be one of his more well-known titles.
I want to see it just because of the title.
Yeah,
Yeah, me
but the
too.
thing is, like you're right though. I think just by reading that though, he gives a little very brief synopsis, but then kind of gives a snide remark about it and saying
Yeah.
it's terrible.
Yeah.
like that's not
No,
It's not really a review.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
it is true. Well, there's a lot of films in this book. So this is the film, the ghastly ones from 1969, also
Right.
known as Blood Rights, done by Andy Milligan. So
Right.
there you
For
go.
a filmmaker like Andy Milligan, it's not like you would just go check out this one movie. You'd probably need to do like a film festival. Like, okay, I'll check out all of his movies or as many as I can stand, and then I'll be like an Andy Milligan expert.
You are severe.
Didn't he do the werewolves are coming, the rats are here? Wasn't that him?
That was
that
one.
him?
That might be Milligan, too.
That was
Yeah.
one of the films that they brought up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was one where it's famous for like either they were doing a werewolf movie, and then I think Willard and Ben had come out, so it was really popular, so they added the rats.
Well, I'm curious about that movie because what happens? Like the rats show up and they save people from the werewolves.
Right.
Yeah,
So it's
But
like-
they're like the rodent
Kinda like
cavalry.
Ben.
And do the werewolves ever get to show up?
Yeah.
Because
Right.
the rats are already there.
That's
Well,
true.
yeah, but get right because they're coming, but maybe they never get there.
Right, yeah.
So look, we're
The
bringing,
werewolves call and go, look, if the rats are already there, we're not
Why
going to show up.
bother?
we're bringing up a lot of questions that can only be answered
in guidebooks.
if you see the film. So
true.
there you go.
Let's
There you
pause
go.
the show, watch the film, come back and talk about it.
So Sean,
That's
it's
yet another
back in
episode.
your court.
All right,
Sean's turn.
Sean is picking up a
all right.
different
I am going
book.
to take the
Ooh.
illustrated dinosaur movie.
Oh,
guide
Jurassic Park.
by Stephen Jones. Introduction by Ray Harryhausen.
Oh, he's good.
Yeah.
If it's Jurassic Park, you have to move on. You have to pick a different
All
one.
right, here I go.
He is
Here I
open.
go.
Yeah,
the book.
it's 3 pages, so.
It's guys, Godzilla, King of the Monsters. What do you know about that?
You know, in light of the recent passing,
That's right.
Yeah. Hiro Nakajima.
Nakajima.
Nakajima, how appropriate is that?
Yeah.
True.
I think everyone at this table has met him, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
that's
Only
true,
autograph
true.
I ever bothered to get.
Wow.
Really?
I've never been interested in getting an autograph, and that was,
I mean,
that
that's-
was,
Really?
yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah. And I didn't even realize, like, I had to go back a little bit and do my research. But, I mean, I knew he played Godzilla in a lot of the early films, but I didn't know how long of a stretch he had.
Yeah.
Yeah, and played so
Really
many other
impressive.
Toho monsters
Gargantuan.
too.
Yes, yeah, and then
Yeah.
Gargantuas. That was another one of my favorite movies of all time.
yeah,
Is
me too,
man.
were the Gargantuas, and that he plays the Green
The
Gargantua.
Green Gargantua,
yeah,
the
Gy-
mean
Gyra.
one.
Gyra, yeah.
The one that actually chews up the lady.
The
My
real-
favorite
well, like the
one.
really,
My
the really
favorite one.
animated physical one.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
he's always pissed off
Yeah.
and wanting to fight.
I remember
and very discerning in his taste.
the first time I met him, it was when G Fest actually had their convention, the first G Fest convention out here in
Yes.
Hollywood. And
I was with you, I
as
think.
with Sean,
Yeah.
Sean, I called him Sean. We got in line. We were at the tail end of the
Yeah.
line. They had cut it off.
That's right.
And he was just about done. And we went up and we said, "Oh, we came here just for this." And the guy said, "Oh, okay." And he let Sean and I go. And that's when we got to meet
Friendliest
him.
guy.
And we got these great photos
Yeah,
with
yeah.
him. And he was so wonderful. He was so
Just think
lovely
about
and charming.
you know, yeah.
He didn't know any English, but
Yeah, but he was
He was a
basically,
very
Didn't
good.
matter.
He was a very jovial quality about him.
Yeah.
Seemed like he really liked people.
and then the last time I think all of us saw him was at the Monsterpalooza in
Monsterpalooza, yeah.
Pasadena, where he actually had his daughter with him, and who was actually acting as translator.
Right.
And
And-
what was so wonderful was we actually had a Monster Party flyer that we gave him, and he actually gave us a little shout out. Again, this lovely gentleman didn't know any English, but we were able to have him say monster party.
Yeah,
And-
we fed him the
far.
lines phonetically, and he got it out.
And
yeah.
it was so lovely.
No,
and I think
great guy.
And I think James, you got a great we got a great photo of him signing your Godzilla poster.
Yeah, I had a cube and one sheet from the original movie, and it was a birthday gift from my mom, and it was one of my prized possessions. And to have him sign it, I mean, one of the amazing things about him is that not only did he play Godzilla in so many movies and all these other characters, but when you think about the '54 movie, I mean, it was so long ago, and it was so different from any of the other movies. And
Yeah,
that was him in there.
Yeah, I know.
and that's the part that kind
Met
of
Godzilla.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it also makes me worry in retrospect for him, like those last movies that he did, those last Godzilla films. Like, man, get him out of that suit.
Well, there's like a classic photo. I think it's from Godzilla versus Hedorah, where like you see he's in the bottom half, but he's like he's smiling, holding the Godzilla head, and he's smoking a cigarette.
Yeah,
You know, he's like
great.
he's like taking a break. You know, I think you see like the Hedorah costume right off to the side. It's
I will
just so
bet you,
great.
because he's a kind of a tiny guy. When we met him, he's kind of a small
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
And I'll bet you he was bigger. Like
Oh, yeah.
that being in that suit
Yeah.
had to have
Right,
shrunk
right.
him over time. I
Right,
think.
right. And isn't there a
Sure,
figure,
sweat.
a toy or a
There
figure
is. There
that
is.
represents
Sure,
him
yeah.
like in the costume?
There
which is
is.
so cool.
Yeah.
And one of the highlights, it was great to meet him at these conventions, but there was a big thrill. At that same convention, they were showing at the Egyptian Theater the original uncut Godzilla, the version without Raymond Burr.
Gojira.
Right,
Yeah, Gojira.
right.
And I went to see it, and he was there with his lovely wife. And what was so cool was at the end of the movie, everyone leaves the theater, and he and his wife are walking down Hollywood Boulevard. And I just standing behind him as he and his wife are walking down. I'm looking at him, going, "My God, this is Godzilla walking down Hollywood Boulevard."
Did you do like every time he took a step? Did you go?
No, I didn't want to bother him. It was like he and his wife. They were like,
Although he probably would have been completely fine
Yeah,
with it.
yeah.
He's such a gregarious guy,
Yeah.
and
So
humble.
lovely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
very cool.
I think he had no idea that he'd turn into this
Well, it's iconic,
famous
yeah.
person.
I wonder-
He loved going to these conventions, and he loved meeting all the people and having seen people that were so enthusiastic. And the pictures that we have him, he's
Yeah,
smiling,
yeah.
he's giving a thumbs
know,
up.
it's
I mean,
great.
this is someone who didn't expect this and is just accepting it and just embracing it.
Let me
Yeah.
ask your opinion about this, Larry. Because towards the end, he came out a lot. He
did.
would come out to a lot of conventions.
He did.
And do you think that he got a better idea of like how much he was loved?
Yes.
In this country?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he did, and I forget if I was talking to August Ragone about this. August Ragone, who's a big Godzilla,
Huge kaiju expert, fan.
Rigoni?
Yeah, and he was saying that this was something that, again, he was just this was a job.
It was- right, right.
It was this gig that he did, and he didn't expect to have all this adulation,
Sure.
and for this old gentleman just to go to these different countries, to have his way paid to bring his wife or his kid, and to see all these people just giving him a standing room ovation, and I mean it was just so overwhelming. So
Well, he really embraced it, because when you're that age, it's pretty easy to just say, "Oh no, it's too much for me." But he traveled
Yeah, well, yeah, he
overseas
right.
often.
Came out
And he
here.
was
so-
he was pretty frail.
Yeah.
But it was funny because he would be at so many of these conventions that it got to a point where it was almost like I got to this place in my head where I just expected that he was going to be there
yeah.
all the time.
And you know, Matt, the other funny thing is where there are celebrities that I've seen at conventions on a regular basis. Every time he'd show up, I get another autographed photo.
Oh, me too. Me too.
Right,
He
right.
signed everything I have, pretty
and,
much.
and,
Yeah.
and there's just something so special about it.
Yeah.
It's Godzilla.
He is
Yeah.
Godzilla.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
how many-
No one else could say that.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no, not at all.
So amazing.
yeah. Well, that was a lovely choice.
It was. I'm glad we picked that one.
Matt,
Yeah.
how about you, buddy? Why
All
don't you
right.
pick a book? We have plenty of books
I'm
here.
gonna go. Let's do. Yeah, okay. Let's do this because
Oh, what's-
I like zombies.
Oh, what's this?
You know me and zombies. This
course.
is the Zombie Movie Encyclopedia by Peter Dendel. It's
right.
nice. It's a nice solid hardcover with
yeah.
a kind of a cool little pulp zombie on the cover.
Yeah, it's a hardback.
And
It's also McFarland, if I'm correct.
there we go. Yes, it is.
Good
All
old,
right.
good old
So I'm going to
McFarlane.
do it.
Matt
I'm gonna
is
go for it.
opening the
I'm gonna
book. He is
flip it. I like doing
flipping
the
the
flipping thing,
and he's
then-
pointing at.
Oh my God! I think I hit The Living Dead in Tokyo Bay.
Oh,
What a
Whoa!
I don't know.
What's the year on that one?
It's called
Okay.
the Living Dead in
The
Tokyo
Living-
Bay.
The Living Dead in Tokyo Bay.
Okay, I don't know that.
Directed by Kazuo Komizu. Anybody?
Wow, no.
Okay, I'm just
Ken?
gonna
idea.
start reading the synopsis here. As if Tokyo hasn't been terrorized by enough monsters, Romero-esque zombies now add to their ranks in a comic book action adventure feature. A meteor crashes off the coast of Japan, releasing a gaseous cloud that kills everyone and then reanimates them as ghoulish undead. Since the plague spreads like wildfire, the army is forced to section off the entire city, killing anything that tries to leave the perimeter. Resourceful heroine Keiko Kyutei Kazuki, you guys know who she is. Of course. Armed with huge guns, clever gadgets, ninja-like prowess, is the Snake Plissken of this Japanese escape from New York.
I gotta
This
see
sounds
this.
fucking awesome.
What year was this?
This would be the year of this is 1992.
I want to see this.
This sounds great.
Cool.
She teams up with a handful of renegades to combat a corrupt military general as well as the zombies. East Asian action movies always have lively choreography, but low-budget effects and goofy costumes are devastating for a science fiction apocalypse feature such as this one. I beg to differ. All corpses in the Tokyo area rise as cannibal zombies due to radiation from the meteor. They range from fairly normal-looking, freshly dead to greenish, wrinkled goblins. There's nothing especially interesting about these undead, except why does everyone hate the fucking movies that they talk about? There's nothing especially interesting about these undead, except maybe that post-apocalyptic Tokyo offers a slight change of background scenery. All right. Let me tell you something.
Okay,
Let me tell you something, Peter Dendel.
Okay. Wait, does he say, are the zombies running? It doesn't sound like
No, I don't
But
think
if
so.
he said Romero-esque, that means
He said
they're not-
Romero.
Yeah.
You said they were
I want to
stumbling
see.
and-
I don't
I
care.
wanna-
I don't care what Peter Dendel
sounds
says.
like-
Peter Dendel is dead to me.
Well, I don't know if he should be dead. I mean, he went through an awful lot of trouble to make this book, Matt.
No, he's fine.
And he
this sounds like a
Matt,
great movie.
Matt, he brings up a movie that we are not familiar with. So
Yeah,
let's give this man some credit.
That does sound interesting. to
It
me.
sounds interesting. I'm ready to see it.
You know, having been to Japan, sometimes you can look at a movie like this and say, "Hey, they're running across Ginza. There's Shinjuku. There's
Sure.
Shibuya."
Just from
Yeah.
a travel log point of view.
Yes,
Watching
if
an old
nothing
Adam 12.
Okay, here's exactly. No. We're all kind of like joking around. Now think about it though. We have all been to Japan. Can you imagine when we've gone to Japan and it's all packed and stuff? Can you imagine zombies? How many zombies? How terrifying that would be walking
True.
down the Ginza Strip. Or, I mean, it would be packed. Or the subway. Can you imagine, Sean, if we're walking down the subway and have there be tons of zombies down there?
That'd be awesome.
That's okay. Yeah, it would be awesome
it'd be
for
awesome
you.
in a movie, but
But
yeah.
also, like, what I don't understand about some of the people that write these books, is that even a kind of a crappy zombie, if you give me the right amount of cool stuff with kitsch, that I don't care about if the zombies
if
are
it's
perfect.
fun, who
I
gives
just
a
want to have a good time with it. And God, I hate this sort of highbrow look on everything. Now, this could be the worst movie ever. So I'm already talking out my ass because none of us have seen this movie.
But I'm
Right,
intrigued.
but still,
There's
But I
yeah.
am intrigued.
Dude, there's
How
enough
bad could it
there.
be?
Yeah.
No. But the funny thing is,
They got me at Snake Plissken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
I say, again, we cancel the show and watch this.
Okay.
And the great thing about this is it's always fun to see something new, even if it's bad, if it's good,
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah, for
I
so
love
much,
seeing
we've
something I
seen
haven't
so
seen.
much stuff.
I know.
But there's still
There's still more.
stuff. I mean,
There's always more.
there's still a movie that none of us in this
I
table
know.
have seen.
All right.
Ken, it's in your court, buddy.
All right.
My good friend Ken.
Do you want a new book?
I don't know. Let's
yeah,
see.
look, what's that one?
What do we got here? We got a
I
bunch
think
of them.
I like this one because it covers everything.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
all right, go
Going
for
back
it.
to
This is
the
the,
Go for it.
Encyclopedia of Horror Movies
Okay.
Okay.
by Phil Hardy, edited by Phil Hardy.
Ken is opening the
From
book.
a Phil Hardy joint.
Ruby.
I like Ruby. Curtis Harrington.
So that-
and
yeah.
Piper Laurie.
And that's a interesting one.
That's a crazy one. It's good though. It's,
The
it's
date on
go-
that,
gory
Ken?
and crazy.
77.
Yeah, I like that one.
Read us what they have as the
In a
synopsis.
1935 prologue set to dreamlike effect in a mist-shrouded Florida swamp, singer and gangsters Mal Ruby sees her lover gunned down by fellow mobsters. The main action occurs 16 years on, with Ruby running a drive-in cinema in the same locality and providing employment for the now down-at-heel assassins. They start to meet a variety of grisly fates, and it transpires that Ruby's teenage daughter, the child of her affair with Vecchio, has been telekinetically possessed by her father's avenging spirit. I don't think I've seen this.
Oh, it's good.
I have.
It's like a little bit Exorcist, a little bit Carrie,
Yes,
a little bit
yeah,
drive-in
yes.
horror.
What's the Black Exorcist?
That's Abby.
Abby.
I always
That's
get
what I
them
thought I was
confused.
looking at.
Yeah, I always get those two confused too.
It's a great triple feature, actually.
That was on-
Abby,
Yeah.
Carrie, and Ruby.
We talk about it on our Satanic Cinema episode.
Yeah, a little bit,
yeah.
yes. But no,
Abby
Ruby's
I've
fun.
seen. So what is it? Tell me about it, though.
Piper Laurie is Ruby, and she was like this kind of gangster's mall, and like her boyfriend's ghost or whatever is haunting her, but the ghost kind of possesses her teenage daughter. And there's all these like gory killings that take place like in and around the drive-in theater which they run, and it's fun. It's creepy and kind of over the top. I think it was kind of made to cash in on Piper Laurie's popularity being in Carrie.
And there's a couple weird but obvious, like her flying up into a tree, but you could see the cable.
Yeah.
But
The
it's
telekinetic girl you're talking about?
yeah.
Or
The effect,
The effects,
her doing that to somebody.
yeah.
I enjoy that movie.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
a
it's a
fun
lot
one.
of fun, and I like the fact that it goes all over the place. I like the fact that you've got this kind of gangster movie in the beginning, and then it turns into like Carrie Exorcist. And
I think they added some stuff against Curtis Harrington's wishes too later with the movie. Like there's a scene where somebody's being pulled under the swamp by a skeleton. I think that was all
Like
added
some extra
later.
horror scenes?
Yeah.
To juice it up?
which
Yeah.
I'm always in favor of.
Yeah, me too. But that's a good one. I like that
Yeah,
one.
that's
Nice.
good.
All right, who's next?
I think I'm next.
All right.
Larry, if you'd be so kind as to hand me the,
Yeah, Larry.
the Creature Features Strikes Again guide. I think I'd like to tap
by
into
John
that.
Stanley.
By John Stanley.
Who's probably will
Signed.
have some kind of insult at the end of the.
You're terrible.
And you know what? Let me just tell you, I love John Stanley.
And me
I really
too.
Do. I'd love to get him on the show sometime.
Yes.
That would
Oh, yeah,
be
do
great.
it too.
And then I could ask him about it. John,
Well,
why do you hate?
Yeah, we're busting his balls like he's our friend.
Yick Pooey.
All right, so James is opening the book. He's putting his finger on.
Satan's Black Wedding from 1976.
I went to that wedding.
Satan's Black Blank?
flower goo.
Wait, what is Satan's?
Satan's
It's
Black
a
Wedding.
nice day for a black
Satan-
wedding.
Okay, can you talk about
76,
this?
you said?
Satan's
76.
Black Wedding.
Terrible production standards and awful color.
Awful color.
It's all black.
The color's terrible.
In the black wedding, the color's awful.
Not to mention atrocious acting and horrendous direction by Philip Miller negates this tale about devil worshippers and a dead woman who returns to life as a vampire in Monterey.
Monterey.
He might be right about this one.
Greg Braddock and Ray
Why
Miles.
is it Devil Worshiper
co-star.
turned into a vampire?
Satan's Black Wedding, 76,
Yeah,
you know?
the vampire preys on orcas at the aquarium.
Matt, we've got to try to get John Stanley on our show.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I've got to get
You
him.
know, this is interesting because this is a movie from the 70s when we grew up, and we thought we knew almost every title.
Yeah,
And
I would.
it's
I would. If I saw that in the TV
Right?
guide, and I would like
Well,
watch
sure.
it.
Here's another thing I will say about some of these films from the 70s. That there was this time when, if you think about it, there were a lot of drive-ins were still
Yeah.
very popular.
Like regional
and there were these
films.
cheaper films that were done, then they were always part of a double bill, okay? And so there were a lot of films, these cheaper films. I think we did on a Backward Psycho, I talked about one of these films that I had seen.
Like Legend of Boggy Creek?
Well, that was
That's
very
a great one,
successful,
yeah.
but there are others.
But it was
like
still
Stanley.
Sun International Pictures.
yeah, but
right?
but it's like
yeah.
this is one of those films that
If it was shot in Monterey, it probably stayed up in the Pacific Northwest and never made it out
that's
of
like
that
the
circuit.
Milpitas monster.
Monterey's
you know?
highest grossing film.
Okay.
Nowadays, though, like everything is coming out like on Blu-ray or DVD. So I wonder, now that's the way to find some of these now. I bet.
Or
Find
you-
that
or
one
you-
on Blu-ray.
Or
Yeah,
YouTube. A
good
lot
luck.
of stuff winds up on
That's
YouTube.
true.
also.
That's true.
If you
That's
can't
true.
find
Yeah,
anywhere
yeah, yeah.
else.
All right.
Okay, is it my turn now?
I believe it
is.
is your turn, Larry.
Okay, now I'm gonna shake things up a little bit here. I'm going to choose a film out of the book.
Famous horror Jewish film.
The Golem.
Ken,
Well, it's-
I'm really sorry, man.
This
I
is a
don't
very
know.
Jewish character you're
the
about
the
to.
Golem.
Okay, it's this book is called The Frankenstein Scrapbook.
Frankenstein.
The Complete Movie Guide to the World's Most Famous Monster by Stephen Jones. An introduction by Boris Karloff.
Stephen Jones again.
I have heard of Boris Karloff.
So, and it's interesting because it's a kind of a softback paperback book. It's got a Boris Karloff image with like an arm and a leg, kind of.
Cool. All right.
So here we go. I am opening the book. I'm paging through, and I am putting my finger on.
Triumph of the Will.
Okay, now.
It is Triumph of the Will, isn't it?
No.
It's just appearances of Frankenstein too, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
just like cameos.
Yeah, anything. Right.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. An appearance of Frankenstein.
Cameo.
Because when I pointed at this, I just picked this. I'm looking at this. I'm going, there's no Frankenstein in this movie. Mm-hmm. The film is Yellow Submarine, 1968,
Oh, wow.
directed by George Dunning. This is with the Beatles, John Lennon, Paul McCartney.
It's a great
George
movie.
And I'm trying to think, where is Frankenstein?
what
in
does it
this?
say? I'm sure he says.
Okay. Cartoon musical fantasy based around 14 songs performed by the Beatles.
The who?
The Beatles.
No,
It's
the
a rock
Beatles.
band maybe you're familiar with. They're big
Not so much, but go ahead.
Okay, all right. Well, the Fab Four, I sometimes call us that.
God
The
bless
Fab
you.
Four escape a gray Liverpool and travel to Pepperland to save their alter ego, Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, from the music-hating Blue Meanies. Yeah. With brief glimpses of Frankenstein Monster and King Kong.
Where?
Probably for like a split second in the
Yeah,
animation.
right.
Yeah, probably like a background.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
look, as a kid, I remember, Matt, maybe you remember this too, on KTVU Channel 2, they would show Yellow Submarine every once in a while. I remember thinking, ooh, it's a cartoon, hey, but it was really weird. And
Yeah, when you're
psychedelic
young,
and,
it's a little...
And my older brothers really liked it because they were into, the Beatles music
Sure.
and stuff. And, it's great stuff. And it's...
How much older were your brothers than you?
4 and 6
Okay,
years
well, that's a
older,
good amount of
yeah.
age, yeah.
But I'm trying to remember when Frankenstein made an appearance.
I think, as James was
probably
saying, there
was.
was like one of those moments where...
Scene or whatever.
Yeah, there's like
There's so much shit.
Yeah, there's a lot of...
Like 50 characters pop out of a cloud.
I will-
Right.
I will
right.
say this,
But I admire that Stephen Jones
Yeah.
includes that in the book because he's trying to include any kind of like reference
But,
to Frankenstein's monster.
That's the action figure to get, by the way.
yeah.
Stephen Jones did these 4 trade paperbacks
Yes.
back in the 90s, encyclopedias of vampires, werewolves, dinosaurs, and the Frankenstein scrapbook.
great.
And they are great, but then you find a title which is like, wait a minute, what is this doing in a Frankenstein scrapbook? Well, it's because they had a cameo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I-
But I like that.
No,
though.
and for listeners, if this again, 68, there's
really
a lot of
Frankenstein's monster.
a lot of like
It's Frankenstein's monster, not Frankenstein.
what?
It's Frankenstein's monster. It's not Frankenstein, it's Frankenstein's monster.
It's funny. You are coming off a lot like Sean right now.
Oh, yeah. You never forgave me for pointing that out one time. But
No,
it's true.
No, okay. If I'm going to get off this topic just for one moment, okay? When we were kids, we
Well, of
all
course,
we
of
all
course.
okay. Yeah, you're saying of course, but then
we're
you
not
jumped on me.
kids
Yes,
now.
Frankenstein.
I didn't jump on you.
Oh, yes, you did. Yes, you did. Matt,
when was
Matt,
it?
back
When
me up
was
here.
it?
Well, when I was a kid, I always call it Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Right.
No, but
Well,
you know,
but it's
hey, not to throw a wrench into this whole thing, and I know that there's this argument,
God
it's
forbid.
Frankenstein's monster.
Please.
But doesn't the offspring take the last name of the parent anyway?
Well, yeah. In fact, in Son of Frankenstein,
Were you called GONIS as a child?
Well, it was
yeah,
Baby Gonis.
in Son of Frankenstein, Basil Rathbone says that. I think he's saying like, for all I know is my father was always actually called by the name Frankenstein.
Yeah.
The monster was actually started to be called the name of my father.
Right.
So
Well, it's a
kinda
lot
true.
like the Jewish religion. Like if your mom's Jewish, then
Look,
you're Jewish.
if you're Dr. Frankenstein, that's pretty nice.
I don't think we should be doing that. Now I'm feeling a little uncomfortable.
You're feeling a little high.
So look, Yellow.
It's a tribute to Jerry Lewis.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, So Yellow Submarine.
There you go. But now I want to see it though again. Because
It's
just,
it's
Frankenstein
very
monster.
psychedelic. It's very of the times of the
great.
late
Yeah.
'60s. That
But
kind
you
of
like that movie now, though, right?
It's interesting. Yeah, it's neat. It's neat. It is. And there were action figures made of the
I have
Beatles.
them.
Oh, they're
Cool.
fantastic.
Do you have them?
Yeah, they're great.
McFarlane.
In the package.
Do you really have them in the
do.
package?
Wow.
Yeah.
James?
Not in the package, but I have them.
Yeah.
Me too. They're awesome.
Ken?
That wasn't their real voices, right? In that movie?
No,
No.
it wasn't.
Whoa.
Yeah. There
It
wasn't their
wasn't.
voices.
No.
No.
Wait a minute.
No,
Wait
wait,
a
wait,
minute.
whoa.
Wait a
Hey,
minute.
whoa, hang on.
There's
Whoa. You stop. No,
there's-
you stop.
There is. Okay, get to it. Stop.
Kappa. Now, at the very end, the Beatles show
They
up.
appear, right.
But that's
in live
film.
action, but all right.
But the voices of the Beatles
Yeah,
all
the
the way
characters
through.
were voiced.
But I will give the voice actors credit for that movie because compared to the voice actors in those original Beatles cartoons,
yes, Paul Frees, I think
Paul
does two.
Frees.
of them.
Paul Frees.
yeah.
yeah, and one person, I don't know what impression they're doing. Like,
Yeah.
Listen, I'm one of the Beatles, and
I heard a really interesting story. A friend of mine, Wally Winger, just actually showed me a bunch of these original Beatles cartoons from 1965-64. My understanding, what Wally explained to me, was that cartoon alone kind of helped start the whole Saturday morning cartoon craze.
Is that right?
What happened was the
interesting.
Beatles were so popular, and this cartoon was created. And yes, Matt, the voices that they got for the Beatles, they don't sound anything like the Beatles. Paul Frees does this. I mean, he doesn't sound
I
anything
think he does George.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
John.
There's a
but the
good-
weird thing
Okay. He
does
was
John.
the
The John
network-
is
the
horrible.
network-
Horrible. He doesn't even try.
The network didn't
It's
know
not even
where
Liverpool.
the network didn't know where to put it, so they said we're going to put it on Saturday morning.
garbage.
Apparently, I forget if it was ABC, but the ratings for it went through the roof.
Right.
What year was this?
64, 65.
Right.
And because of that, other networks go, well, we got to make a cartoon to put on Saturday
Jackson
morning.
5,
and that's,
Osmonds.
Right.
that's what started the whole Saturday
interesting.
morning craze.
Wow.
So it was actually the Beatles cartoon that actually started
That's
that.
amazing.
I have one on 16 millimeter.
Do you really?
And these were
Let's stop the show and watch it.
these were produced by
Wow, that was really good.
these were the,
Editing.
They were produced by Al Brodax, who had done the Popeye cartoons in the 50s.
They were very
That- yeah.
cheap
Very
animation.
cheap.
yeah.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so are the Beatles.
Yeah.
What I was
The
amazed to learn,
Beatles are cheap?
No, the Al Brodax was cheap, but those cartoons were cheap. Al Brodax actually is listed as a producer on Yellow Submarine, which is a totally different kind of animation.
Really?
And
Oh,
that's
wow.
because he owned the rights, apparently, to the Beatle property at the time.
Oh,
and
wow.
he was
Wow. Interesting.
heavily involved in the backing of it, if not the actual production of it.
Oh, interesting.
Now,
And
here's
the only reason, I'm sorry, Larry.
Okay.
The only reason
He's speaking now, Larry.
the only reason the Beatles show up at the end is to fulfill a contractual obligation for like 3 movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. But no, but you're right, though, Matt. The voices in the Yellow Submarine are pretty good.
Yeah, they are. They're not bad.
Yeah.
They're
yeah.
actually like British people.
Yeah,
they
right.
try.
What I was going to say was
Yes, I'm sorry.
I hadn't seen these Beatle cartoons, these classic ones from 64, 65, and I asked about it. And the reason why they're not well known is because whoever has the rights to redo the rights, because it has Beatles songs in the cartoon,
yeah,
the
yeah.
rights are, I mean,
Oh, yeah,
are
it's-
astronomical
Right,
to
right.
pay. And that's why, well, gee, if we pay for these rights for the music to put this on a Blu-ray or whatever,
Right.
they'd have to send
Through the roof.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
The Jackson estate would kill you.
so
Which is ironic because the Jackson 5 cartoon is out on Blu-ray. It is.
Well,
It is.
but here's the other thing. There's currently a Beatles music cartoon for kids where they do covers of Beatles songs.
Really?
And yes, and I hate it.
Well, it sounds horrible.
I hate it.
Yeah.
Terrible, just terrible covers. And it's called, I think it's called the Beetle Bugs or something. And they're bugs that sing.
Oy.
Yeah.
Oy vey.
So I don't know what I guess covers is not the same
Right.
cost.
Right.
No.
Right.
All right, so Sean,
good.
it's back
Is it my
in
turn
your,
already?
yes, it is.
Oh,
It's
wow.
back in your
Back
corner,
on you.
buddy, because
All
I
right.
did Yellow Submarine, a classic Frankenstein. Classic
right.
Frankenstein.
I am going to
film.
turn to Michael Weldon's second Psychotronic book, the Psychotronic Video Guide.
Ooh.
And a quote on the cover is an amazingly knowledgeable Encyclopedia Britannica for film fanatics with a great sense of humor, John Waters.
John Waters, hey, friend of the show.
All right, here we go.
right.
I am going to choose Exterminators of the Year 3000. 1983.
Now, before he reads it, I just want to point out this is like about an inch of copy. It's if that.
There's
It's-
not much.
Yeah.
But this is like a classic, like Italian Mad Max ripoff. Alan Collins, real name Luciano Pigozzi,
Of course.
and Fred Harris, real name Fernando Bilbo, star with Beryl Cunningham in yet another Italian Mad Max / Road Warrior copy. That's all it says.
Wow. All
So there
right.
you go. And
In
I
other
actually,
words, they
I actually
didn't
have
see
this
it.
one on DVD, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch it?
Yeah, it's like a carbon copy clone Mad Max ripoff, but if you're in the mood for that, it's great.
But here's the thing with the Mad Max carbon copies is that they rarely are carbon copies. If they were carbon copies, I think I'd like
true.
them more. It's usually they add like too much of a sci-fi element that makes them a little.
I kind of like that though. I like the craziness of it.
You know what? I think you might be right. Just because we already have Mad Max.
Right, exactly. The Italian film industry so many times would take a popular genre and just go crazy with it and do really weird, very strange tangents with
It
it.
can't be any worse than Thunderdome.
True. It is actually more enjoyable than Thunder.
Yes.
I don't know.
Without a doubt,
I
I
thought there
believe
was
that.
a lot of neat things in Thunderdome.
There's about 15 minutes.
No,
There's Thunderdome, and then the rest of it I want to shat on. Is that the correct sense?
Tina Turner looks great in
Yeah,
that film.
hey, look,
okay.
She does.
Speaking of
but,
spandex.
but does she belong in the Mad Max movie? That's the question.
Tina
Yeah.
Turner looks great in everything. You can see her music videos, and she looks great.
Exactly.
She'll
I'll
sit
just-
through Thunderdome.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. Exterminators of the Year 3000.
So
Excellent.
Is it me again?
It is,
Matt.
buddy.
You know what? Just because I love the Psychotronic Encyclopedia of Film,
As
that's
do
the
we all.
one I am going to
Go for it.
go for. So I am going to flip through this.
All right.
Hey, I think I got a good one.
All right.
Devil Dog, The Hound from
I
Hell.
love that movie.
You guys have brought up Devil Dog in the past.
If we have, probably.
yes,
yeah.
you have.
This is
Yes.
great. This is a TV movie.
Yes.
And a good TV movie, in my opinion. It's got a great
Oh,
cast.
fantastic cast.
Richard Crenna, Yvette Mimieux,
Oh. From
directed
Time-
by Curtis Harrington.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Kim Richards is in it too, from Escape from Witch
That's
Mountain.
right.
And she's
Speaking
not
of
even,
child
I don't
sex.
even think she's
Yeah,
mentioned.
she's in that, and
Martine Beswick.
yes.
Are you serious?
Yes, Martine Beswick, who, well, that's all I need to see a
Yeah.
movie.
right.
Just mention her name, I'm there. But yeah, a dog is possessed by the devil. With an exclamation point. In the
The end.
Yeah. It's suburban family owners, Richard Crenna, Yvette Mimieux, and kids, fall under its canine spell, which I don't know what that means. That it's adorable?
It sounds like Marmaduke.
Yeah, it's right. It sounds like this is a really adorable, cute dog.
Beethoven.
Might as well be Benji. Yeah.
That's a great one.
With Victor Jory, for you Victor Jory fans, Martine Beswick, TV's answer to Dracula's Dog, which we could also talk about that
That's
one
another
too.
great one.
Do you
Yeah.
have those on DVD?
Yes,
because I'm gonna have to borrow
yes.
that.
I have a whole
I'll have to come
canine
over.
horror section.
But now
What a great
it's
title.
been a while since I've seen it, but correct me if I'm wrong. But they get the dog, but then the dog is like a subtle demonic influence that starts to change
yeah, it's a
the
pup- it's a cute
personalities
puppy
of
first.
the
Yes,
family.
It kind of turns the family against each other.
So it starts as a puppy, like they get
Yeah,
it as a puppy.
I think Martine Beswick is like part of a satanic cult, and they like want to slip the family the dog. I think their regular dog
Was
gets
it an
hit by a
escape
car or
sacrifice?
something. Yeah,
Oh,
and then
okay.
like somehow the best way for Satan to rule the world is to like start it with the puppy in a suburban family.
It's the Omen. It's the
Yeah,
Omen.
it is
That's
kind of
the
like
story.
that. Yeah, it's ridiculous, but it's
But isn't
really fun.
it's a weird like subtle kind of thing of like don't adopt a dog, don't get a rescue dog because
Yeah.
they're the demon's spawn.
Now, I just want to go out on a limb here and say, now the truth is that it is great to go out and get a rescue dog. No, because look, my family.
I have only had rescue dogs.
We had
and
a
they're
rescue
wonderful
dog,
dogs.
and
Very
this-
few of them are satanic.
And just let you know, our dog Emmy that we've had. I've actually had her here when we did the show a few times. You remember
That's
that?
right, yeah.
And you couldn't even tell.
You couldn't even tell.
So well behaved.
The only
That's
time that
not
she
satanic at all.
the only time she barked was when someone knocked.
Mention the devil.
No, no, it was when Carrie came home and she's the dog is
And
trying to
kicked
protect. No, our dog is trying to protect. My dog's trying to protect us.
Yes.
and Carrie came in, and so our dog, my
I do love your
barked.
dog. Your dog
it's
is a great dog.
It's a sweet
It's a
dog.
very sweet dog.
So I just want to say, rescue dogs. I think don't go
They're the
get
best
a
dogs.
don't get a pure breed, and
I don't think they're allowed to do that anymore.
Maybe
in LA.
no. See, I don't know, but
yeah.
but
Yeah,
but it's like
California.
go out
Thank
and get a
goodness.
rescue dog.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You'll be glad you did.
Satan will thank you.
That's our
No.
PSA for tonight's show.
All right, who's next?
Ken.
I'm sticking with the.
Are you going with that same book?
I love it because it's got everything in it.
Right.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
Go with your
All
comfort
right,
zone.
he's shaking it up now. He's opening the book. He's paging through. He's no, don't look. Just
No,
you know,
he's
blank.
got to read
Wait,
it.
can you
I-
not?
I
can
ha-
you
I have
not?
my finger on it.
Jesus, can you not micromanage his fucking going through the book?
The Monster from 1924, 1925.
Wait,
Is that
the monster?
Is that the
Monster.
Lon Chaney
Called The
movie?
Monster.
It's
Read the words.
based on a Broadway play by Crane Wilbur.
Okay, wait a minute. It was the Chicago of its day.
So it's silent. It's a silent.
who's-
A silent musical.
No,
Whose tiresome spoof horrors dogged the last years of the silent movies in America. This is a film of considerable charm. About a rustic youth whose correspondence course skills as a detective land him in an old dark sanatorium where the sinister Dr. Ziska Lon Chaney, is collecting bodies in pursuance of his mad dream of discovering the secret of life by transferring a female soul to a male body.
Wow. See, I'd heard of this
Ed Wood
movie, but never seen
territory.
it.
So
It's Lon
wait a
Chaney,
minute.
though.
So according to the filmmakers, a female soul in a male body, monster.
isn't that like a Star Trek episode?
It is kind of like Turnabout
one of the
Intruder.
best.
Yeah.
West was an extraordinarily talented filmmaker whose career mysteriously collapsed in the early 30s, even before his involvement in the Thelma Todd scandal.
Ooh, wow.
we all
Interesting.
remember that.
Yeah.
Google it.
Yeah. She got murdered. The jury's still out.
Here, the ambience is closer to Louis Feuillade. Feuillade. With a superbly... What the hell? With a superbly... I don't know a lot of these words. Minotaur? Minotaur?
Yeah.
Superbly Minotaur opening sequence, a dark nocturnal forest in which a hooded figure with a scarred skeletal face from its perch in a tree lowers a vast mirror camouflaged with foliage onto the roadway.
Oh, it's like a Looney
backwards
Tunes.
sentence.
It's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
a cartoon.
A speeding car crashes as it swerves to avoid the mirror image, rushing to meet it. Alarming subterranean upheavals as the earth opens. What? And another sinister figure emerges from a concealed pit to make away with the body.
Wow.
What a
I want to see it.
Weird movie this sounds like.
Yeah, it's like the scariest Roadrunner ever.
Silent Lon Chaney film, though, but that I haven't seen.
And of course, as we all know, silent movies back in the day were never really silent. They always had some kind of
Right,
music
they had
company
music,
in it.
yes.
So
Here's,
maybe this is something that might be shown on Turner Classic
This
Movies or
sounds,
something.
this
They do
sounds
those.
good. Chaney's doing a few characters, I believe. Chaney belying the suave effect of a Noel Coward dressing gown and cigarette holder, only by his alarmingly fixed manic grin.
Okay.
Sounds
Wow.
like a haunted house movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think you're right. All right, Ken. Well, thank
I
you
like
very
There
much.
you
stuff.
go.
Very cool.
1924.
All right, that's interesting. Okay, James, it's your turn.
I think I'm going to go to horror films in the 1980s again.
Hey,
This is a little like Jeopardy.
Find something minotaurial.
All right. This is the 1986 Invaders from Mars.
Oh, by the way, R.I.P.
Yes.
Toby Hooper.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Why we got to pick this
Yeah.
one?
Damn.
Yeah.
Well,
you
we
gonna-
love Toby Hooper,
Yes.
and we know how great he was. Yes, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2,
Poltergeist.
Eaten Live.
well,
I love Poltergeist.
Funhouse. The
well, that
Funhouse.
was-
Funhouse.
Salem's Lot.
Funhouse.
Hey,
Funhouse, one of my favorite movies ever.
Let me
love that
just
movie.
say, not everything that you can do is going to be brilliant. Okay,
Right.
even some of the greatest filmmakers of all time, whether it be Hitchcock or Spielberg, not every film they did is a great film. Okay, so maybe we're not a big fan.
If you have 3 great films in your repertoire,
yes,
Yeah.
I think you're doing
Yeah.
pretty good.
yes, Matt, how many people just dream of just having the one?
I agree.
True.
And look, Invaders from Mars, the classic from the 50s, to me, it is so wonderful. It's so great. And
And
I
it's
know,
something you really can't remake.
and I understand
Yeah.
they wanted to update it. What I don't know if he was like a director for hire or whether this
I
is
think
something
it was a
passionate.
Canon. I think it was Canon Films.
Yeah.
And
And
did
he
it.
wanted to
and
do
it was
it.
like a big budget. Yeah.
And the thing that bugs me is, some of the aliens, I just didn't like what they were trying to do with the aliens. And look, it wasn't my cup of tea. I preferred the classic, but maybe to someone else it is. But still,
I have to admit, I have to see that again. It's been a long time since I saw it. I know Karen Black's in it. The actor who played the little kid in the original Invaders from Mars plays as a cameo.
yeah.
I think as a cop in the new one.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything about it. Like I am curious to see it again now. I mean,
well, it's kind of like there's some things about it that I understand what he was trying to do. There were some very classic shots in the original, and he tried to replicate them.
Yeah.
And it's like, like Matt's argument, it's like, look, if you're going to do it, just change it. Don't try. I mean,
Right.
it's like when they when John DeMont redid Psycho. Is that
Right, yeah.
And it's like, what's the point of that?
It wasn't John DeMont.
I mean,
it
not
was,
John DeMont.
My Own Private Idaho guy.
Yeah.
Gus Van Sant?
That's it.
Gus, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Thank you.
But and shot for shot, it's like, what?
So I'm not saying that Tobe Hooper did that with this film, but there are some very classic shots that he took right out of the classic,
Right.
and it's like, you know what, change it all the way.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's a time when Hooper, I think he had maybe it was a contract with Canon Films because they let him do the big budget Texas Chainsaw 2, which
Yeah.
I love.
Yeah.
Didn't he do Life Force?
And Life Force, which I also love.
Yeah.
It's a crazy movie.
Life
Like,
Force, I think, is an underrated movie.
I agree, yeah. And I think Invaders from Mars is also part of that period where he was kind of for hire to make a bunch
Right.
of big budget Canon films.
Yeah.
And that one, like I said, Invaders from Mars is probably the least memorable of the three. But I'm curious to kind of watch it again now. But Hooper's made some of my favorite horror films of all time. So, I mean, yes, definitely.
Are you a Poltergeist fan, Ken?
Yeah, I like Poltergeist.
Oh, I love Poltergeist.
All right.
Love it.
But it's arguable whether that's a Hooper
Yes.
film or
It
Spielberg.
always has been. the
Well, that's
question.
yet another one of my
Well,
problems. with it.
look, I just want to throw this out. Okay, it's one thing to create a storyboard where it's shot by shot, but still, someone has to be on the set and explain to the actors, this is the scene, this is what you're doing.
Yeah, Spielberg.
He has to... No.
No, but supposedly he was on the set.
Yeah, he was on
Yeah,
the set.
I'm
but
sure he was like right
No,
behind
but
him.
the only argument I have for that, Larry, is that having seen all of Hooper's other
movies,
genre horror films, there is a very specific style and
Yes.
twisted kind of perversity to them.
I agree.
And you don't see when you see
Not at all.
Poltergeist, it is Spielberg 100% all the way in as far as vibe and feel and atmosphere.
cinematography.
Yes.
Everything is Spielberg. So whether or not maybe Hooper was sitting there behind the camera, I mean, I just think overseeing it was. I'm not saying that's bad. He does get the sole director credit,
But I also don't blame him for that film because I think there was some. I think there was some
There's plenty
weirdness.
to love him for without Poltergeist.
Yeah, I think there was some
exactly.
weirdness going on behind the scenes.
Yeah,
that I
yeah.
don't blame him for.
And also Salem's Lot, speaking of Stephen
yeah.
King, he did a really good job on that.
yeah, I thought. I thought that like whether or not
it's a
whether or
much
not
better-
it's true to the book or not, as a TV movie, I thought that was pretty scary for
Look,
the movie.
I went back to it like it was. I want to say like 6 months ago or so,
Yeah.
and watched it again, and it's pretty awful. But I think at the time I kind of liked it. I was.
There's nothing like it on TV.
Yeah, I
It
was.
is a little
I was.
drawn out, yeah.
It was way drawn out,
Yeah,
and I'm
it's-
also. That's like one of my favorite Stephen King
Yeah,
books.
mine too.
Right,
and the
right.
character of Barlow in the books is so great and so very well defined and urbane and
Well,
intelligent.
James Mason really should have played Barlow.
I agree.
Yeah.
Oh, yes,
they
interesting,
really
yeah.
And
reversed
have him
the
be
whole-
this snarling Nosferatu ripoff.
Yeah.
Really bugged me.
At the time there was a kid, I thought it was scary though. Like that, in some ways, I can see why they went for the visceral kind of just monster look for the TV movie.
I think it's a.
The rest of the casting I really liked. I liked David Soul in it. I think that Lance Kerwin was
Lance
was really
Kerwin,
good.
of
yeah,
course,
yeah,
yeah.
it was good.
And there are some creepy scenes in it.
Yeah.
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 The floating outside the window.
Right.
Yeah, no, I love
it's
that.
good.
I
It's
love
good
that.
stuff. And look, if Tobe Hooper just made one movie, if he made the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Yeah, it's
then,
enough.
I mean, that's enough. There really is.
Yeah.
But
Night of
yeah.
Living Dead was enough for Romero.
Yeah. All right.
Who do we got?
Who's next?
It's me. We haven't done this book yet, have we?
Nope.
Go for it.
I'm going to take a title out of Legacy of Blood, a comprehensive guide to slasher movies by
Okay.
Jim Harper.
All right, Jim.
So I am
Give us a
paging
good
through the
one,
book,
Jim.
and I have picked Friday the 13th, 1980.
the original?
Joe
The
Knox.
original.
Awesome.
One of the most influential slasher movies ever made.
Yeah.
True.
Friday the 13th has managed to attract a staggering amount of critical disapproval over the years. I mean, it goes on and on. So Friday the 13th, this takes place, the film takes place at this Camp
Camp Crystal Lake.
Camp
Yeah.
Crystal Lake, where there was a small child that supposedly drowned, and the counselors weren't really paying attention or something, and
through their neglect.
Yeah, through their
this
neglect.
child.
Because they were taking drugs and having sex.
Yeah.
Yes. So what can we learn from this, Ken?
Kill people who take drugs and have sex.
No.
But it's interesting that because you think of like Carpenter's Halloween came out,
Yes.
and then Friday the 13th was made off of that.
Yeah.
But really, both movies were instrumental in kickstarting the slasher.
Well,
the
it's
slasher,
funny. It's 1980. The funny thing is, I think Halloween being like more of the first, I guess they're saying, oh, it's a slash film. And we've talked about this on other shows, how, there's some slash elements, but it's really mild.
It's more.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, maybe not mild, but it's not like Friday the 13th.
It's not gory.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, do we all agree or disagree, or what do you guys think about? Is it really a ripoff of Bay of Blood, Mario Bava?
I think it's definitely very similar. I mean, Bava's Bay of Blood is it's kind of like a 10 Little Indians thing where it's like people have gathered for the will of somebody who's dead or dying.
There's no complexity to Friday the 13th.
No, it's the fast food
And
of,
it doesn't even make sense by the end.
Well, the very end. No, you're right.
Yeah.
Well, it becomes supernatural. At the
And
end.
by the second movie, it's another killer.
Well, and by
it's,
it's
I got to say this: I've never been a big fan of Friday the
really,
13th.
I've come
I
to
like
like it a lot
Jason-
more.
Sure. But the
first one.
The funny thing is, it's not your cup of tea, but it has gone on to spawn. I mean, 13. How many?
It's huge. It's
I think for me, though, I think a lot of it is the nostalgia aspect of it, the music and the vibe and the camp counselor thing of that time.
I just remember when I saw it, I'm like, wow, this movie is ruining horror.
Yeah,
Really?
That's what I felt like. It just felt like
I felt like
Why?
that too.
Why?
I've
it felt
never
like
been
junk
a fan
food.
of it.
but it is junk food, I think.
Well,
But I think
yeah.
it's good junk food, though.
I think I'm more on Sean's side here. I remember seeing it and thinking that it was unique, that it was its own thing.
a great drive-in
and
film.
I felt like it wasn't like Halloween. It was a very different
Yeah.
vibe and mood.
I just thought it was-
and the gore I thought was interesting. And
I just thought it was, yes, sure, the gore was interesting, but the characters aren't interesting. The story isn't interesting. There's really nothing to it other than killing a bunch of people.
But I
I
thought
liked
it was pretty.
Mrs.
Teenagers
I liked
having
Miss-
sex and drugs.
But
is
it
what
was,
it
I
is.
thought it was a suspenseful, like who's going to get killed next movie. I think that's
Yeah.
all it has to be. In a way.
I liked Mrs. Voorhees. I thought she was great.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
And-
Yeah, she's good.
And I was
But it's-
surprised by. I really was surprised by who was the killer at the end. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, but that's easy to do. You just say it's someone else.
Well,
remember the
That's
time.
all it is.
But remember
It's
the
not
time
really
in
deep.
1980. I mean, it wasn't
Yeah.
as. It was a classic gory body count movie. I mean, that's
Yeah.
all it was.
Yeah.
But it started and.
But it was the first of those.
Yeah.
And
I
it
mean,
led to a lot
and it
of
was-
crappy movies.
Well,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
was directed by
Which is what
Sean,
I'm saying.
but I do enjoy a lot of those crappy movies.
Yeah, me
though.
too.
I do too.
So this
Yeah.
was directed by Sean Cunningham, and many people forget that Kevin Bacon was in this
It
film.
was.
Oh,
That's
I
right.
haven't.
He has one of the most memorable
Yes,
deaths.
yes.
At his
Arrow in
dreamiest.
his
Yeah,
throat.
yeah. But what I remember about Friday the 13th, the thing that I'll never forget was, with Halloween, it was always The Shape, or Jamie Lee Curtis on Fangoria magazine. For Friday the 13th, there was a guy on the cover with an arrow. Remember this, John?
Yeah,
in his
yeah.
eye.
Sticking right.
Was that a sequel or is that the original?
That's in the original.
That was in the
Oh,
original.
really?
It's revealed like he's on the
talk
back
about
of the
Is that right?
door.
Yeah.
horror films. There's horror, and then the gore films.
Yeah.
And this was like on a cover of a magazine.
And that was kind of the new generation.
The
like
new
Fangoria
generation, yeah.
grabbed
And
onto
I would
that.
see that the next level of that was Saw.
Yeah.
Where it
Kinda,
started
yeah.
this sort of torture porn.
yeah.
Kind of, yeah. That was the
Which
later.
I'm also not a big fan.
Yeah, the Hostel and Saw
Yeah.
was
But
kind of that.
Hostel, I think, is a great idea, but I don't like the movie.
Hostel, I kind of do.
I think Saw's a great idea too, but I don't like the movie.
The first Saw has so many plot problems
It does.
that gets annoying. But the basic template of that film, where you've got this weird puppet character that brings you into these torture devices, where
it's a
you
cool
have
idea.
to kind of defuse a puzzle
Yeah.
that's going to kill you.
Yeah.
I like that
I
part
like
of
And
it.
that
that's
idea.
rife
I like
for
that
like
part of
the
the
thing. I like it
franchise.
conceptually.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Hostel, Eli Roth, I'm not a big fan
No,
of.
me
Like
neither.
I hated Cabin Fever.
Me too.
Easy.
But what are you, his mom? Anyway, but Hostel,
He was the Jewish bear.
I do love Hostel. I think it's a really good movie.
I do like the build up to that.
And I think the
movie.
buildup is great.
Yeah.
And I think it's got some good characters. I think story-wise, and it's not torture porn because it leads up to that in a very skillful way, I think, to when it finally does unleash it it's shocking
Yeah.
and it works.
I do agree with that. Yeah, I didn't see it like right away. I saw it much later
No.
after it came out, and
I like it.
I was surprised actually how it built pretty well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go.
All right, my turn.
Yep.
I'm going with the yet another Stephen Jones guidebook, the Illustrated Werewolf movie guide.
Ooh, and that's got a cool cover on it
Yeah,
too.
It's got a werewolf
it's
on
a
the
cool
cover.
but I think this is from a movie that's not one of my favorite movies. It's I think it's from Silver Bullet. It's a crappy werewolf movie. But this
There are things that I like about Silver.
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Problem with
I
that.
read. I like the book. I read the
I
book.
don't.
not
I don't
like the
even.
book.
I'm not even that crazy about the book. But go ahead.
All
I
right,
like
here
the
I go.
cute silky terrier at the end.
All right, flipping. House of Black Death.
Ooh.
House of Black Death.
I have seen this movie.
I don't know this
This is a
one.
Jerry Warren special, and this is how it's described: incomprehensible mess about rival warlocks. Rival warlocks, the evil Bilal Desaad, played by Lon Chaney Jr., and his benign brother Andre John Carradine. And it's the kind of dueling warlocks, and it's terrible.
Wait, is that what it says?
It's
terrible.
It's terrible. It says it's
Where's the werewolf coming?
incomprehensible. He says during the climax, hero Paul Desaad turns into an ugly werewolf, filmed for $70,000 under the title Night of the Beast, based on a novel by the same name by Laura Crosetti.
Read the book.
An uncredited Jerry Warren was apparently called in to try and make some sense of it all. Well, if you're going to call Jerry Warren to make sense of your movie, forget it. It's pretty bad.
What's an ugly werewolf?
Well, that's true.
Like for example, in The Howling, that's a beautiful
kind of like
werewolf.
a classic kind of wolf.
Yeah,
I would say that
know-
werewolves are generally attractive looking.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what's an ugly werewolf?
Maybe like
Is
the describing the makeup.
I think
Is
it was
it
a
like-
very bad rubber mask.
Yeah.
I think
Okay,
that's what it
all right.
is. Yeah.
Mange.
Jerry Warren made a lot of crappy movies, a lot of like kind of patchwork movies. He took older movies and added extra scenes, and they're always usually pretty bad.
Wait, so
But,
Lon Chaney was in this, but he
Lon-
was not the werewolf.
No, he was not. No,
And
ironically.
I'm sorry. What's the date on this?
House of Black Death, 1966, but also 1971. because
Okay.
I think he added
Okay, so
scenes.
this is
Similar-
like he's an older Lon Chaney.
Yeah, this is
Jr.
like
and
the
he's-
older Chaney
he's like
and older
drinking a
John
lot. He's
Carradine.
probably
Yeah.
showed
around
up.
the time of the monkeys.
This is
or
after
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Post-monkeys.
So they probably did a couple scenes for in
Yeah.
like a couple days, and then
Yeah.
they finished,
Yeah.
and then
What's the house?
He was
in it
paid
like?
in alcohol.
yeah.
Like us.
All right,
There
Sean.
you go. House of
That's
Black
Black
Death.
Death. That's a
Very
pretty
good.
obscure one.
Matt, back to you, buddy.
You know what? I am going to go for the 70s one. Where's that?
All right.
Ooh.
The 70s
There it is.
one.
70s.
The
Ah.
horror films of the 70s.
the 70s.
John Kenneth Muir. And I'm going to do my flipping and right here. Blackula! Blackula! Hey!
Great one.
Underrated.
Talk about great 70s
my
horror.
God.
Underrated film.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
shall
we're
be known as
Blackula, which, oh man, there's been so many
I love
great
that
jokes.
Dracula names the Prince Mamuwaldi. Blackula.
It's Mama Waldy.
Mamuwaldi. Prince Mamuwaldi. You be known as Blackula.
1972, William Marshall as Blackula, but I just love the fact that he's named Blackula by Dracula. You will now be known as Blackula. No. What
I'm pretty sure it's Blackula's monster.
I remember seeing this film on Creature Features as a kid, and I was actually kind of nervous because with the title of Blackula, but actually it was really neat, and it was
There's some
really
scary
creepy.
scenes in it.
And William Marshall, he was in a classic Star Trek episode. He's absolutely
The Ultimate
wonderful.
Computer.
Ultimate Computer.
Yeah,
John
five.
John Datestrom, a really brilliant man, and he's this tall, powerful man with this great booming voice. And as Blackula, he's terrific.
Well, he plays it straight too.
Yes, he does.
Plays it
Yeah.
very,
Yeah,
He
yeah.
plays very elegant and noble.
Yes,
and he falls in
but
love
it is
with,
funny though that they had to do this thing where he goes through almost like a werewolf-like change.
Yes.
when he becomes
Yes.
ultra vampire.
Yes.
The sideburns get really crazy.
Yeah, all of a sudden he's got these ridiculous sideburns.
Right.
But I love it. I
is
think
a
it's a
great
great
film.
movie,
And without-
and it holds up. And there's some really scary scenes in it. In fact, all the people that he turns into vampires are
Yes.
very scary.
Yes.
And they even use some of those sequences for the opening credits of Creature Features. Yeah.
That's right.
It's shot at high speed, so there's this slow motion
Well, there's the
thing.
female victim in the morgue comes to
running,
life,
yeah.
and I think she's running after Alicia Cook.
and it's
Yes.
great.
Yeah.
Imagine this it's a dead body that comes to
Yeah, it's
life,
great.
and she's running, and it's in slow motion, and it is terrifying.
Yeah, it's good.
And as a kid, it freaked the hell out of
And
me.
of course, it's the 70s, so it is very much like a blaxploitation, funky music
look,
score.
but,
And,
yeah, it's got the funky music score.
But
And,
it's a
and
good funky music.
It is.
It
It's
is.
like-
I thought it was really hip
It
at the
is.
time. No,
Was it hip and now?
Look, well, listen. No,
Was it happening?
And listen, and back in the 70s, when I thought, oh my gosh, this is really hip music, and I felt it was really hip people, and yeah, because I didn't feel like I was hip or anything, but
No, you were not.
but
That's because you were saying hip in the 70s.
Yeah.
well, but I thought I was seeing something that was really cutting edge, and
was
really
fun.
happening. And
It is a lot of fun, and actually, as a blaxploitation movie, it's actually just a genuinely good vampire movie.
It is.
Yes,
Yeah.
and without giving anything away, the ending is unlike your traditional
Yes.
vampire. I don't want to say what
It's kind of
happens.
poignant, actually.
But
Yeah.
it is not a typical vampire type ending, and that's another thing which I thought made it stand out to
Yeah.
me.
And as a pretty good, fun sequel too.
I love this sequel.
Scream, Blackula Scream. He comes somehow. He's back to life, and it kind of involves like
Somehow.
voodoo,
It's vampire versus voodoo.
and
Yeah.
it's Pam Grier's in it. And
Pam Grier,
Beautiful.
it's great.
gorgeous, and just the title,
Yeah,
Scream,
yeah.
Blackula
That
Scream.
is one of the greatest titles.
Like somebody got like an extra $10, in their paycheck.
And I forget there is a toy company that actually
Yeah,
made
I was
an
just gonna say.
absolutely
I have it.
Fantastic.
It's a gorgeous.
It is a
12-inch
great
figure.
Matt, I'm sorry. The toy company. Do you know it wasn't Sideshow?
Is it a Muck Time?
I'm not sure,
But it's
really good,
You
though.
you could check it out.
you know what I always wish though too. In my dream world, I wish they made a crossover movie of Blackula versus Count Yorga.
Oh,
Yeah, 'cause
Because
they
they were the
almost-
same era.
Yeah.
The modern day vampires in the 70s. I don't know if it was the same company they released
They
them, but
feel like they're
lived
in the same universe.
Yeah,
exactly.
God, I would love to see that.
Yeah, where the shared universe thing hadn't
Yeah.
really happened
That would
yet.
be great.
Get one of them computers and make it.
all right.
That's a good one though. That's a good
Nice one, man.
Yeah, and boy, I lucked out on that one.
Ken, it's back in your
Where's
court.
my book?
Nody.
Where's my favorite
Oh,
book?
oh,
through
that's
a
right.
book?
You. Oh, for God's sake, do you want to use the same book again?
Yeah.
Hey, he's the
I
guest.
know,
You
'cause
can do
all
what
the
you
horror
want.
movies are in
Staying
this
out
book.
of the 20s, though.
Yeah.
Well. Young Frankenstein.
Oh.
What a fantastic, amazing.
Young Frankenstein's monster. That's a good one.
Wow, what to say about this?
That
I mean,
is,
I've seen the movie
What's the date on
Oh
it,
my
buddy?
gosh.
1974. I've seen it hundreds of times.
Me too. Yeah.
Well, for those of
In
us,
fact, when it came out, there was a theater I used to go to. They had the $1 movies.
Yeah.
And I would go watch a movie all day long over and over again. Young Frankenstein was one. Earthquake, Westworld.
Oh, wow.
It was all the same time period.
That's
Yeah,
great.
Logan's Run, Soylent Green.
Wow.
Those are all. It was just
Man.
For me, it was the Empire
50
Theater
times.
in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's a great
this
one.
is Mel Brooks, Gene Wilder,
Madeline Kahn,
Such a
Marty
great
Feldman.
Such a quotable movie.
And so this is
great.
the grand. Is it
Kenneth
the,
Mars.
is it
amazing.
the grandson of Frankenstein?
Frankenstein. He refuses to say
Yes.
the name Frankenstein.
Goes to the castle and to kind of redo.
Following
fix-
his grandfather's
but
footsteps.
Yeah.
kind of fix where the mistake happened or whatever. And you know, I'll tell you something, Ken. When I saw the advertisement, we've talked about this before. I was mad. I thought they were making fun. No, I was no. When I
Imagine
saw
a
this,
comedy making fun.
no, I was angry.
Yeah.
And I actually refused to see it because I thought they
That's
were going to be
funny.
making fun of my cherished Frankenstein monster. And I remember thinking, "Are you like that, Sean Frankenstein monster?"
but they
no,
are.
no. Yes. But when I saw the picture, it's like Frankenstein monster is bald. What is that all about? I mean, I like kind of Marty Feldman. That looked kind of cool, but
Yeah.
I was actually upset. But then when I saw it. It
It's
wasn't
such a loving
it was,
tribute.
but it was made out of love. There
Absolutely,
was
yeah.
and Gene Wilder is just fantastic.
Everybody.
Actually, everybody.
It's in my-
Gene Hackman is amazing.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
everybody's
Yes.
great.
It is probably in the top 5 greatest horror comedies of all
Yeah.
time.
The thing is, like you say, this,
Yeah,
it's,
for
it's
sure.
not just
Greatest
a loving.
comedies.
It's not just a loving tribute, though. It's such a successful tribute. In other words, you can almost play it after watching the other Universal sequels.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Gene
the
Wilder obviously
cinematography,
loved those movies.
They got the look and the feel of the Universal films in the
Absolutely.
40s so well.
Well,
Like,
they got the same, the
Sets.
electrical-
Kenneth Strickfaden,
Black
right?
and black and
Yeah.
white, black and
Shot
white
in black and
That's the
white.
thing.
Yeah.
It's almost like an unofficial extra
And that was a
sequel
big,
to those
that was a big
movies.
fight for Mel Brooks to get it shot in black and white.
Really?
I'm sure.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
And Terry
But he said it
Garr.
had
Terry
to.
Garr looks amazing,
yeah.
stunning and yummy, and
But if you haven't seen it, you have to see it.
Oh my
Yeah,
god, it really is. It's
such a
it
classic.
it's wonderful.
brings me a lot of joy. That one.
Yep. Who's next?
I think I am
James,
next.
Go for it.
And
James
what am I
is
going to go for
grabbing-
here? I am going to.
he is taking his time picking a book.
Didn't think about this ahead of time.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one. Oh, there we
This is
go.
another McFarlane book, Television Fright Films of the 1970s by David
Yay.
Deal.
Ooh,
Right.
And this one will be
you didn't really flip through the pages; just kind of opened it up.
That's
but-
good.
All right.
Red Alert.
Red
Alert
Alert.
from 1977 with Michael Brandon and William Devane.
I've seen that movie.
Sounds familiar.
Attempting to avert nuclear disaster.
They have to like disarm a nuclear bomb or something.
It looks, in Minnesota.
Yeah. It's like a suspense.
Ralph Waite is in it. I've never heard of it, but
I have seen that.
Adrian Barbeau is in it.
There you go.
Emmett Walsh.
Good 70s cast.
Yeah, it's based on the novel Paradigm Red. Music by George Allison Tipton, who did the music for Soap, the TV show.
How do you like that?
Did you just know that?
I just knew that.
Wow.
And there you go.
All right, there you
You're
go.
good.
That's
Okay,
great.
all
All
right,
right. Well, I'm
everybody.
gonna go back. I want to see if John Stanley's gonna
Yeah, let's see,
like
let's
rip
see
it
how
to
he
another.
trashes another horror film.
So-
Made me
and-
throw up.
And again, John, if you're listening, man, I love you, buddy. I really do. I'm
sure he's listening.
Going back to the John Stanley Creature Features Strikes Again movie guide, I am opening the book. I am paging through, and it it is The Computer That Wore Tennis Shoes from 19. Well,
Science
it's
fiction.
Science
Science
fiction.
fiction,
It's-
got it.
it's-
Yeah.
this is from 1970, and I do remember seeing this at the movie
Oh
theater.
my God, I love these
This
movies.
is,
Dexter Riley.
Yes,
Yeah.
electronic memory bank of a computer is injected into Kurt Russell's brain. In this Disney comedy written by Joseph L. McKeevy, Cesar Romero
Jewish?
is, I don't know. Cesar Romero is the bumbling bad guy trying to steal the new discovery.
He's like a mob guy, right?
Alonzo
Yeah,
Hall.
he played that a million times
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
So
It's all shot on the Walt Disney Studios
Yeah, sure.
lot
With
as
Wil-
playing the college.
Yeah.
with William Shallot, who's been in a bunch of
Shallot,
films,
yes.
and he says here Disney was Now You See Him, Now You Don't, which I don't know that one.
I love that. I have that on
Is that
16
invisible?
millimeter.
He's like
But-
invisible.
He
yeah.
becomes invisible.
But what was great was there was this period where Disney did a bunch of these films,
Yes.
Live
with
action
Kurt,
comedies,
with Kurt Russell,
yeah.
and it was.
I
like,
love them all.
As a kid, you know,
Yeah.
it was like either through the summer or something. Your parents would would drop us off, all the
Sure.
kids at like a local theater where you pay only $1.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's like we had $1 to get in, but no money for popcorn. So my mom would pop popcorn and put it in like these paper bags. Remember, I'm from a large family. Okay,
That's great.
And I remember, you know, the popcorn would be all greasy and it kind of leak through the paper bag, and so it would get in my jacket. Oh, that was the other thing. You couldn't bring food in there, so you had to shove the paper
Ooh,
bag in your
sneak it
jacket
in.
somehow. Yeah. So,
Wow.
but yeah, I loved all of these Kurt Russell.
My
films. He
favorite-
also did
yeah.
the Strongest Man in the World.
That's my
Yes.
that's that is my favorite one.
Was that one Kurt Russell?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Was not Jim Michael Vincent was
I thought
No,
that was
no,
Jim
Oh,
Michael-
he was
no.
the runner, the fast one. What was that one called? Yeah.
I thought that was the strongest man in the world.
No, that's
No.
the world's greatest athlete.
yeah.
Strongest man in the world is Kurt Russell. That's my favorite one,
Okay.
and there are so many funny scenes in that where
Is Joe Flynn in that one? Or?
Who's the actor
Yes.
from McHale's Navy?
Joe Flynn.
Yeah,
Flynn,
he
Joe
was-
Flynn.
I love him.
But there's a great one where you know they have this.
Boat Nix was another one.
Yeah. Oh,
Joe
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Flynn.
But there's this great scene where they have this formula that makes you strong. And of course, Kurt Russell takes it, but there's this little dog that he has. This little tiny little dog, like a terrier. And the dog is always being chased by, I can't remember if it's, I think it's a Doberman. And some of the strength formula gets in the little dog's food. So the little dog takes some this food, and the Doberman keeps going through his little dog door to like terrorize him.
Yeah.
But the Doberman puts his head through, and the little dog turns around, and like smoke comes out of its nose. It's like, and it just chases this Doberman down the street. And as a kid, that was the funniest fucking thing I'd ever seen. Like, oh my god,
Now, I don't know
this is good comedy.
Now, I don't know if you remember as a kid watching this. I thought this was a little racy, but it's one moment that I do remember. It's where, okay, so Kurt Russell's supposed to be really smart, and they try to analyze what's in his brain, and there's like a camera or something that tries to look inside his brain, and you see like little computer things moving around, and all of a sudden there's a shot of this sexy girl in a bikini getting into a car. Do you remember this?
I do remember that.
And they look back at Kurt Russell like, what the hell is this? And Kurt Russell's all, he kind of shrugs. And I'm thinking, boy, if they kept watching that, you would have seen her undressing. But as a kid, I just remember that.
Those movies are wonderful.
Yeah, those
And
are
that's
fun
a
movies.
man. Did we land on a good one? I love that.
Computer wore tennis shoes, 1970.
Great.
That's
All right.
awesome.
All right. Well, this has been fun.
This is fun. So what are we doing now? Are we doing a little lightning round?
We'll do like a couple each at
Grab
a
a
time.
book, read a couple, but go through it fast.
okay. All right.
All right, who
Well,
I think it's
first.
you.
Okay.
It's going to be you.
You started this.
Why don't everyone grab a book?
Grab a book.
Grab a
All
book
right.
right
I'm
now.
grabbing this one.
All right. So
Okay.
this
Let's
is our
do it.
lightning round.
All right,
Lightning round.
I'm going to go with the Psychotronic Encyclopedia of Film again.
Go
Michael
for it.
Walding. Here we go. Ready? Espresso Bongo.
I love it.
I don't know it.
Cliff Richards, he got his successful Elvis of England career started with this satirical musical based on the play by the same name. Wow. Lawrence Harvey's in it.
Cliff Richards in the Shadows.
Yeah, Cliff Richards in the Shadows. He's singing at the Tom Tom Club, backed by the Shadows.
Wow.
1959, Val Guest directed it.
Holy moly.
He directed
Famous Hammer director.
Yeah, he directed the Quatermass Experiment and all kinds of. He directed Tomorrow.
He also directed Espresso Bongo.
He did. Yeah, there you go. Okay,
Very good.
Should I do one more?
Do another one.
Okay, here we go.
Quick.
Love at First Bite.
Oh.
1979. I did love this movie at the time when it came
At
out.
the time, I did. Yeah.
George
not
Hamilton.
in my,
George Hamilton,
not in my top 5 favorite horror comedies.
You know, I haven't seen it in a long time, but at the time, George Hamilton as Dracula and the gorgeous Susan St. James. I'm sorry.
And
She
Richard
was
Benjamin.
Richard Benjamin is fantastic.
and there's a couple funny
Dick
scenes
Shawn.
in it. Yeah, Dick.
Sherman Hemsley.
Artie
lots of
Johnson.
Artie Johnson is the Renfield. I mean, very, very broad comedy, yes, but hey, 1979, directed by Stan Dracodi.
Okay, great.
All right.
I've got the television fright films of the 1970s by David Deal.
Right.
Here we go. Flip, 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 boom. The Devil's Daughter, another devil thing.
Is that with Shelley Winters?
Yes, it is Shelley Winters.
Joseph
There we go.
Cotton?
I
Yeah.
remember seeing that I thought it was a movie.
Mother dies. Diane Shaw must come to terms with the fact that she's the spawn of Satan.
Of course.
That sucks.
They come to terms with that.
And that's really all you need to know, I think. Yeah. And Shelley Winters, I'm assuming Shelley Winters is one of the devil people.
Hey,
think so,
you know what?
yeah,
And she's
yeah.
an Academy Award winner, so let's give her
No.
some-
She makes anything she's in better.
Anything.
I love her in everything. I really do.
She makes tentacles fun.
Yes, no, she's great, and she's definitely one of my favorite parts of Poseidon Adventure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, let's do another
This
one.
was I think a TV movie. I was 6
Yes,
years.
it was
6 years
because
old.
it came from
Yeah.
a book called
Television
Television
Fright
Fright Films of the
There you go.
1970s.
Okay.
Get in the game.
All right. I had to hide my head under a pillow because my mom had this movie on.
Really?
And the climactic scene where Satan reclaims his daughter and drags her into hell.
Really?
And I'm just like,
That's that
I
movie?
can't hear
Wow.
this, and she wouldn't turn the volume down.
Wow.
I remember to this day.
Wow. Interesting.
But if you're the devil's daughter and Satan's claiming you and bringing you back to hell, that's not really that big of a deal. It's like, come on, we got to go home.
Would you recommend this, James? Then, if you were hiding under the pillow, is this something?
Well,
you
I was
recommend?
hiding under the pillow, so I don't know if I can.
Well, you're a little
recommend
Well, you
kid.
heard
at the time.
it.
It's probably,
You
yeah.
heard it.
Watch this movie through a pillow.
It was pretty
It
scary.
sounded scary.
Yeah, it sounded damn scary.
All right.
All right.
Okay, so we don't know if we like that one. All right, boo! Death Sentence, a.k.a. Murder 1. Lawrence Luckenbill.
Oh, hey.
Don Davies murders his mistress, Marilyn, after she threatens to expose their affair to his wife, Susan, Cloris Leachman. Much to her delight, unhappy housewife Susan is chosen for jury duty at the murder trial where Marilyn's drunken husband, John, Nick Nolte, is accused. All right, this is great.
Is that horror?
Well, it's,
I guess it's suspense, I guess.
But
Okay.
fuck it. Let's see it. I say we see
I
it.
agree.
Yeah, they say the bulk of Death Sentence is a typical courtroom drama, but it sounds good to me.
All right.
So go see that one too.
Cool.
Nice.
Go see it. Go
Ken-
find a place, find a movie cubicle, and go see it.
All right, Ken,
I'm
give us
sticking with the
one.
Encyclopedia of Horror
right.
Movies. Oh. Well, Tenebrae.
Oh, yeah.
I just looked at Sotto gli occhi del assassino, and I didn't know what it was, and then I realized it.
Dario Argento.
Argento class. I like that one a lot.
Stuff, yeah.
Who's the main actor again? It's Tony Franciosa.
So, yeah.
Who's a mystery writer, and he's writing these mystery books, and it's crazy murders in his books, and there's real murders happening there, kind of echoing his books. And so it's a great twist in this film, by the way. Lots of crazy, gory
Crazy gory murders?
Crazy, gory
Goyish murders?
Goity.
Great Goblin soundtrack. Good film.
Wow, that's great.
And The House Outside the Cemetery.
House
House by the Cemetery. House by the Cemetery.
Fulci.
I like
classic
Fulci.
Fulci.
I do like the first title.
House Outside the Cemetery?
Outside the cemetery.
There's three titles.
It's not that scary. It's actually 3 blocks away from the cemetery.
I don't know this one.
Or The House Outside the Cemetery, or The House by the Cemetery.
House by the Cemetery is good.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
a great, super gory Fulci haunted house movie, kind of.
Is that the one with the...
Is it zombies?
The necrophiliac guy with the...
No, it's actually more like a Frankenstein, a little bit of a Frankenstein mad
19th
scientist
century
story.
medical experiment.
Catriona McCall was in it.
Frankenstein lines.
Not a Frankenstein monster.
No, it's Doctor Frankenstein.
Yeah, I just want
No, but
to
it does,
very
it
good.
does have Freudenstein's daughter
That's
in
what
it.
it is, like Dr. Freudenstein instead of Frankenstein.
Not
Yeah.
Frankenstein monster?
Freudenstein.
Thanks, Ken. That was awesome.
That's
All right.
good.
James?
All right, horror films in the 1970s. Let's
All right.
see here. And
I know some.
The Pack from
Oh, it's
1977.
one of the dog.
That's a good one.
That's a dog horror.
Joe Don Baker.
Joe Don
Killer dog
Baker.
movie.
Mhm. Richard Shull.
That's a
How
good
many of those
film.
are there?
BB
Yeah,
Besh.
and that was
the
right
dog-
in the middle of the whole
There's that.
killer dog
yeah,
wave.
there was one just called Dogs with David McCallum.
Well, then
Also
the
good.
Doberman ones too.
Daring Dobermans.
Those are more like mystery caper.
Those
But what
Meg-
about like they only kill their masters?
Yeah.
That's true. That one, yeah.
Those magnificent young Dobermans and their flying machines.
And James Garner was in all of these.
Yeah, the Doberman
But
gang.
the Pack is good.
Doberman gang?
The Pack, they're kind of stuck in a
the
resort
Apple
island.
Doberman gang.
Okay.
And there's like hungry dogs who haven't been fed, and they're going after them. It's good.
Like Jaws.
The Chuck Wagoneers.
Yeah, the moral: feed the dogs.
Okay, and
It's like Willard but dogs.
Yeah.
Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Bodies.
Ah,
1972.
Great. Classic Bob Clark.
Classic.
Bob Clark.
Alan Ormsby
Yeah.
Fantastic.
in his most endearing / annoying role.
Yes. It's a great one, though.
All right, well, I'm going on a theme here, so I'm going to go back to John Stanley's Creature Features Strikes Again. So I'm
Yay.
paging through. Let's see. And so I've got, okay, I don't know this. Far From Home, 1989.
That's the
Lightweight.
Goose movie.
Is it Goose movie? Lightweight killer on the loose terror tale with
This is not the
unusual
Goose movie.
desert
I don't
photography.
know.
Magazine writer Matt Frewer and teenage daughter Drew
Frewer.
Barrymore of E.T.
what?
fame, it says. by the way.
Well, why wasn't it Matt Frewer of Max Headroom fame?
Yeah.
Are stranded in a rundown Nevada burg
With geese?
where a series of murders dogs.
That's Fly Away
And then
Home.
the geese have to come home? Where's Frankenstein?
There's no Frankenstein. Based on a script by Tommy Lee Wallace and directed
Wow.
by Merritt Avis. It has Karen Austin, Jennifer Tilly, and Dick Miller.
What happens?
Wow.
Wow. I guess
That's not a Joe
Far
Dante
From
movie?
Home.
Stranded in a rundown
Yeah.
Nevada
Far
burg
from
where a
home.
series of
So it's just
murder
that?
dogs- Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Interesting,
okay,
though,
so,
but I've
yeah.
never heard of it. Good
No,
cast.
If you like Drew Barrymore, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah,
And
find
you
something
like-
with
and
geese,
Dick
though.
Miller.
I love geese
In
movies.
Vegas Bergs.
Okay, and the last one here, Monster Zero. Yay! From 1966. You know what he says? Okay, I'm a little pissed now.
Uh-oh, does he say yuck poo?
John's okay. I have a bone to pick with him. He says, okay, Monster Zero, 1966, and 0 is what this monster flick scored.
Fuck him.
Fuck you.
So
Is his phone number in the book?
That's one of the best.
Can we call him?
Films.
You know, I beg to differ. I'm sorry, Mr. Stanley. I love you. I think you're great, but I think you're totally
You
wrong with
hate
this
joy.
review.
Yeah.
Well, I
Let's
mean,
call him right now.
he says,
Give him like 4.
Godzilla director Mr. Honda and effects buddy Subaraya are up to their usual tricks with Monster Zero, a hulking entity of evil resembling 3-headed Ghidra. Also
Resembling? It is Ghidra.
Also involved.
Same old.
You know what? Look.
Fuck him.
You know what? For
He's dead
listeners
to
out
me.
there, this is such a fun film. It's
Oh,
one of my
It's
favorite
one
things.
of the
In
first
fact,
movies that combine the
I
space,
heard it was a
space
total
age.
0.
In fact, I need to say something that's very important, and it involves James. James, I have changed my opinion about Destroy All Monsters and Monsters.
Really?
Zero. I've watched them both again,
Really?
and I now agree with you.
Thank you.
I
So you
think
think Monsters Zero is a stronger film?
I think it's story heavy in a good way, and I love all the space stuff. And I don't mind that there's less Godzilla action when it happens. It's great. And you have changed my mind.
Thank you. I think it's
Interesting. I mean, I love both movies, but
I like
now
them both.
I'm curious now.
I like them both, but that one now is, I believe that is the better of the two.
I find it way more entertaining. For me, it's like on the top 3 Godzilla movies.
Right.
Well,
I'm with you.
The interesting thing here, though, is if there's anything that we can learn from these, is sometimes a reviewer might review something that you could totally disagree with.
Yeah.
And this is a
Yes.
perfect
Can I just
example.
say, and that sometimes people write books about things that they actually hate. So maybe they shouldn't do that.
I don't think John Stanley hates.
He hates a lot of things.
I don't think he hates Godzilla films, but he did not like this one, and
Yeah.
this is like one of my favorites.
Yeah,
So
he
I-
can't. You can't only like Val Lewton and
Right.
you
No,
know.
I'm with you.
But
I'm
I also
with you
think
there.
sometimes it's literally just like for the sake of a cheap gag and a cheap little trick with the writing, like to say this is a total zero. Like he just wanted to say that.
yuck,
you know,
yuck,
like
okay.
yeah.
I have a feeling he didn't even see
He
it.
probably didn't see it.
Oh,
I agree.
No,
No, it's very
everyone,
possible.
No,
It's very possible.
Come on. Most people within our community of monster people, they,
No,
I think
no.
he's seen this.
Oh, if he saw it, he would have quoted Nick Adams, and he would have loved it.
Well, you know, it doesn't amount.
It
to
was
a hill
so
of beans.
good. Nick Adams killed himself.
Okay, well,
Yes.
thanks for bringing this down.
True.
That's great.
Spoiler.
Well, this has been fun.
This has been great.
Ken, thanks very much for being with
Absolutely.
us, man.
Yeah.
Always have a good time here.
And so now we're going to go to the book of Ken Daly credits and flip through there and plug something that you have going on.
But
For
also-
example,
The Dana Gould Show.
ooh, I've heard of
I have
that.
a little bit on that. On
Wait.
Standing Against Evil.
Oh,
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So the show,
yeah.
I'm sorry, the show's called Stand
It's the
Against Evil,
second
not,
season coming
not
up,
the
right?
Dana Gould show. I just want to be clear.
But you've been on that too.
Yes, I was a Dana Gould hour, if you will. But yeah, and that starts November 1st, I believe.
Yeah.
Cool. Second season, right?
And we
Second
always
season.
love
I had a little
to
bit in the first season. I got a little bit in the second
Yeah.
season. So
So I'll look for you.
that's fun. Yeah, and then as always, I'm on Nerd Poker where we play D&D.
Nerd poker.
Brian Posehn and his friends, myself included, Dan Telfer, Blaine Capatch. We play some D&D. It's a lot of fun. We've been playing for years.
So this
Awesome.
is online. You just type in
you
nerd
just-
poker
just
and
pull it up anywhere.
You open
really.
a
You know how
guidebook.
people find our podcast?
any
It's very
pod
similar.
play, any podcast app will have it.
Cool.
Yeah.
and also like in your spare time, you're also like working on some floats or something.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
working on the Anaheim Halloween Parade, which I love to do every year.
Yeah.
Cool.
This year, I believe it's on October 28th. It's the 99th year, and it is a parade dedicated to Halloween, and it's very cool.
That's
It's
And I
awesome.
love
Yeah.
you post pictures every once in a while of some of the floats you're working on. I
Yeah,
love
it's like super cool vintagey
you
Halloween
You do
stuff.
some cool
Cool.
stuff, man.
It's really
Yeah,
it's-
you are
it's really
great. We bow down to your nerd prowess.
Thanks so much.
Yes.
I will bow back.
Time for a listener shout out.
Shout out!
This goes out to Nick Wilson from Oak Park, California.
All right,
Nick Wilson.
Nick is the proud owner of a Monster Party cat.
yeah.
Just bought one on eBay.
That hat screams Nick Wilson.
Nick, you're gonna love this cap, buddy.
Nick's eBay moniker is Punny Guy, so he's a man after my own heart.
Punny guy.
Punny Guy.
As in the
He likes
puns.
puns.
He likes puns.
I just want to lock you two in a safe overnight and just film the results.
Here's one for you, Nick. Did you hear Bazooka Joe died? Gum disease.
Keep them coming, man.
Classic.
Did you hear Raymond Burr died?
Huh?
Bursitis.
Yeah.
Did you hear?
Come on.
Did you hear Jacques Cousteau died? Diverticulitis.
Wow.
Nick, enjoy the cap. also, a follow-up shout out to Uber Monster Party.
The topic for this is lulls.
The Uber Monster Party listener, Clint Osborne, who we mentioned
Oh,
in the
yes.
last show.
Yes.
Clint, we wondered why it took Clint so long to buy a cap, and then
Right,
we realized
right.
we had already sent him a cap. This one was for his brother, and he just told us that it was because his brother is now a Monster Party listener.
Wow.
Listening
Yeah.
That's
from
awesome.
him.
That's great.
So thank you, Clint.
Well, what's his
Thank you,
brother's
Clint.
name? Should we give him a shout out?
I would love to, but I did not know what his brother's name
Great,
was.
Clint. Good job. Why don't you tell us who your brother
It's
is so we
No,
can...
Clint told us. I'm
Clint
sure.
told us,
He
I just didn't-
James
Yeah.
didn't remember.
You're mad at Clint.
Wait.
Yeah.
So Clint told us you're not prepared?
It's me
It's
you
all
should be
James's
mad at.
fault, not Clint's
my
fault.
I was too busy
Yeah.
thinking up puns.
Yeah.
So,
You want to piss off some more people that listen to our show, Larry?
if you'd like to buy the Monster Party cap, which has 18 billion stitches, and is
No.
one of the best caps
It
you'll ever,
doesn't have 18
From
billions.
werewolf hairs.
just go to our eBay store, which is called Monster Party Store.
Just for the record, it only has about like 17,000 individuals.
billion.
Couldn't let that go,
stitches.
could
Thank you for setting the record straight.
I don't want you to lie to people. And,
Yeah.
and
We
Clint,
don't want
thank you,
false
buddy.
advertising.
Yes.
Clint,
Yes.
thank you so much
Thank you,
for
Clint.
listening and for purchasing the cap. I think
Yes.
you're going to like that a lot.
Yes.
Please
Makes
keep going,
Makes
James.
a great gift. And let's also remind our listeners you can find us on Facebook and YouTube at Monster Party TV, on Twitter at Monster Party HQ, Instagram Monster Party HQ. If you're listening to us on iTunes, please take a moment, write a review. We would love to hear from you.
And we also want to give a special shout out for our friends and our supporters and sponsors at Creature Features. Yay! Creature Features, located at 2904 West Magnolia Boulevard in Burbank, California. Taylor, Eric, and Matt, these guys have a wonderful store. They have everything there for your monster needs. They have these amazing art shows every month. They have events, and you have to check them out. You have to check out their website, and they actually list what we're doing every week. So that's kind of cool.
Yes.
But check out Creature Features. They also have on eBay, their eBay seller is C-Features, and they have offer a lot of models and toys stuff on
Great
eBay.
stuff.
Very
And
I own much of it.
yeah,
Yes.
and
we all.
I love it. I love it. And also Time Tunnel Toys. Hey! Time Tunnel Toys, located at 1583 Meridian Avenue in San Jose, California. Joe and Sharon, they have a great store which sells vintage toys, and every 3 or 4 months they have an antique toy show. And so you got to go to their website, Time Tunnel Toys, and check it out.
On that note, I am Matt Weinhold.
I'm Shawn Sheridan.
I'm Larry Stroth.
And I'm James Gonis.
Keep America strong.
Put your finger in a film guidebook. You never know what you'll find. And lighten up, John Stanley.
Hello.
Hello, Hulu.
Oh, hi. Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Ken.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hello. How you
Hi.
doing?
I'm a little boy who lives inside your mouth. Hi.
Matt, you want to grab that one? We can incorporate it.
God, good God. You mean I have to...
Encyclopedia.
Put your back out.
The movies, the order.
My sciatica.
Sciatica.
Oh, don't get me started. I think that's going to be my punk band when I'm
Sciatica.
80.
Yeah. Sciatica. I want to redo Frogs. I want to do it how it was meant to be.
I
Giant
wholeheartedly agree with you.
No, you think I'm joking.
I don't. I
No,
I
Today
agree
the pond,
with you.
tomorrow the
See,
world.
everyone is
Like,
laughing at
like the poster you're saying?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, make it like the
That's
poster.
the movie that
And they
I
should be
Yeah, yeah.
just that big too.
Yeah.
Because if you make
Yeah,
them any
yeah.
bigger, it's stupid. But if they're
Yeah.
like the size of like really, we don't want to make frogs stupid.
No. And what if these frogs were a little smarter, than your average frog?
Ah,
And
like Michigan Jane frog.
and think about
Well, they are in the movie actually because they corral the
yes,
other
but not the
wildlife.
Yeah, but they're not. It's
No
not
way.
like I want to see that giant frog, and I want to see many giant
Should they
frogs.
I
speak?
agree.
Everybody does the Michigan frog.
Exactly.
Every man, Jana Ruth.
No, because you know what? You laugh, but let me tell you something.
Someone
If you
has
had-
to.
I laugh often.
No, if you had a giant frog looking at you, and it looks at you, and then
You-
all of
you
a
would
sudden,
laugh.
and it shoots its tongue and grabs your face, and you're and then
would
it
suck.
pulls you.
It
in,
reminds me
and
of
then
how
your
I used
head-
to make out in junior high school.
Your tongue wasn't
Ow.
that long.
Well, no, but I always managed to get the eye because they do the flinch, so you'd get the eye.
I'm just saying that it would be really cool. We all kind of laugh at haha, funny frog.
Haha.
But I think it would be a really scary.
That's how I was during the entire movie when I watched it the first time. Like, haha, funny frog.
but you see, yes,
Silly
yes.
spider.
With a mint julep.
No. And see, you were, and I would like to redo that film and make it horrifying. make it these
It's
giant.
not based on anything, is it?
Based on true story.
It's based on.
It's based on Ray Milland needed to work.
Yeah.
It's based on
Based on the
Milan's
Tennessee Williams
paycheck.
play.
hadn't worked since
Frogs.
It's based on the fact that Ray Milland really needed some money.
A bayou named Frogs.
But you
Aren't-
know what?
aren't
I
all
think
of his movies like
he
that,
just
though?
liked to work,
Yeah.
Sean.
He did.
liked
Hey,
to
I know.
work,
I
and he
admire the
worked.
guy for doing like.
He had big old gaps. He had big
Yeah,
old gaps.
but in the
I'd be in
Sorry.
Frogs.
I have a feeling he.
I'd be happy to be in
I don't know
poor
if it's
for a lot of his.
no,
He was in a
no.
lot of
I
schlocky
don't
things.
know.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
What did he do after X?
Well, he did the
Thing-
amazing the
thing
two-headed
with two heads.
transplant.
Oh
the
yeah,
thing with-
okay.
Yeah, so there's
there-
that.
With Rosie Greer.
Now with extra eyes.
That was like 10 years
Two-headed
after.
transplant.
When was
frogs,
Mephisto Waltz?
And then he was dead.
He wasn't in that though.
Wasn't that? Oh no, who was that? That
He
was.
had.
Who
but
was that?
If you look
That
at
was,
his,
Come on,
that was
buddy.
He had-
the Bond
he did,
villain.
He did.
Kurt Jurgens?
Kurt Jurgens.
Kurt Jurgens,
Yeah, who also probably just needed a paycheck. But
who went on to make that lotion.
Yeah, the inventor of lotion.
I don't think he did the lotion.
I'm going to be terrible at this
Kurt
game.
Jurgens is such a comedy name.
It's also kind of a porn name.
Does anyone have their cocktail?
Yes, we do.
All right.
right. So, Grizzly Guidebook gruesome.
You introduced this.
You're making
Okay.
fun of this now. I thought we had a good name.
Mad Movie Smackdown.
Mad Movie Smackdown.
Okay.
Matt, because
I
I,
like
got to
it.
write that.
I like it.
Mad Movie Smackdown.
Mad Movie Smackdown. Who is your boyfriend? Mad Movie Smackdown.
Because I like to
With
say
many
it,
marshmallows.
So is it Sean's going to say and the
Well, I'll do the regular introduction, then I'll say what the topic is.
Yes, when we get to the topic part.
Right.
And
because I like
what is
to
the
repeat
topic?
because he says it.
Yeah, you like to repeat.
I
so
do.
you are saying the most at all times.
No. I'm
like Laverne and
giving,
Shirley.
No, I'm giving it an exclamation point.
Is that what it is?
And
Is
for
that,
those,
is that pad so you can count how many times you speak?
well, I'm also no.
We're good level.
Ken.
Home later.
I'm a longtime fan of the show, Larry.
Ken, I'm surprised. Do you know what's funny? No. I just for
Larry
the
has a
record,
narcissism log.
I don't. I really do. There are times when I'm like quiet for a long period of time.
when was that? That should be our special episode.
No, it's because I'm interested. I'm learning, and I feel like, oh my gosh, I mean, Matt or Sean, they're going off on some tangent, and I'm like,
You're talking
this is
some bullshit that nobody
No,
cares
no, no,
about.
Yeah, trying to make funny.
no.
What possible good could that do our podcast?
See, are you saying that? Oh, everything we say has to be funny. Everything we say.
Everything? No.
I thought it's like
but not
informative.
have your giant Orwellian foot on every joke.
Larry's foot smashing your face for eternity.
I'm not really sure I understand that.
Of course you
I'm
don't.
Fucking around.
I'm just, but I don't keep track of how many times I.
No, I don't.
I do, so it's fine. Yeah, you'll
Matt's
be.
problem.
As a matter of
It's
fact,
actually Matt's
I'm
problem.
going to turn
Sure.
over a new leaf.
Oh no, you're not.
Right now.
You better
Speak
not.
for the entire show.
No, I'm not going to. No, I'm not going to be quiet for the entire
good.
show
The entire show, no.
Not the entire show.
Yeah,
because it's going to be exciting.
it is going to be exciting. I'm
Very
excited.
excited.
I'm a little nervous.
Me too.
I know. Who knows what's going to happen?
I know.
This is uncharted terrain.
We're
It
gonna look like
is.
idiots.
No,
Frankenstein. I've never heard of that.
Right.
All right, shall we start this fucker?
Yeah. Does everyone sound okay?
I think so. Sounds good.
Okay.
Testing.
That sounds especially good. Okay,
Okay, I'm ready.
let's do it. Ready?
I'm almost ready. Okay, I'm ready.
Always works.
Okay, here we go. I had to clear my throat.
Wait.
I'm sorry.
Every show. Every show.
I'm going to read from the Bible.
Let me get this fur ball out of my
The
throat.
Great Gatsby.
It was the best of times. It was the
Okay, why don't we try this
Here we
again?
go again,
Let's
okay.
give Sean a moment of silence.
All right, here we go.
Okay, come on. You want take a drink.
Wait,
take a
can you
drink.
take a sip of something for God's sakes? Man,
You should. You know you need to have your teeth removed, and you need them. You need them replaced with cough drops.
do you still have your tonsils?
You sound like Burgess Meredith and Rocky.
You have a thing with
issue.
Wait, do you have a thing with phlegm?
I do.
This is something I've. How long have we known each other?
Yeah, I take stuff.
That's my
for it,
favorite
so,
60s.
I don't
That
know.
should be that. By the way, that should be the name of
thing
your
with phlegm.
autobiography.
What's that?
I've got a thing with phlegm.
I thought that was a British pop song from the 60s. I've got a thing with phlegm.
Was that Lulu?
And Phlegm's got a thing with me.
We have to start this.
I don't mean to. No, I don't mean to. No, I don't mean
That's
to
more of a
laugh
Tin Pan Alley.
at an issue that you have. I'm sorry. I just.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's only when I always
Yeah.
thought sometimes it's like you're talking too much or something,
No,
and
it's just
then
a
you
thing.
get.
Isn't it nice that your physical affliction brings us joy?
It is.
It makes people happy.
No, I don't
All right.
mean. I don't mean. I
understand.
apologize.
I'm not offended.
All
You're
right.
not okay.
Okay.
Fine. Let's give you a
I
moment. of
already
silence.
introduced it, right?
No,
So,
well,
okay.
why don't you try it? Okay,
No,
here we
yeah.
go. Okay, just let you know, we start at 9:06. It's 10:45.
Okay.
I can go.
So
however long you
Sean
guys-
was the
One
first
more
one.
round?
Well, Sean was the very first one, so we're going to start again. Do you want to say this is great? You want to do a quick lightning round, or do you want to do another round?
You
wanna
guys,
do, like-
I can go as long as you guys want. So
Wow.
it's up to you guys. I
Whoa.
mean,
Just want to make
You're
we're
Till
September.
taking pictures and all this stuff. I don't want it to
Dude,
be too late.
I agree.
hey.
Yeah, that's all. That's,
So you
that's,
so
You know,
this
aren't
will
you?
be-
You're the one on the last show when I go, "Oh, this has been great." We go on, and I go, "Oh, you just decided to end the show, didn't you?"
look, I'm a hypocrite. I'm completely everything I say is bullshit, and
'Cause I was gonna
none of
say-
the rules apply to me.
Because you know,
like
I was
our
gonna say-
president.
I was going to say, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that this time.
Yeah.
So the ending.
Yeah.
The ending of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Do you like that ending?
Yeah.
So the girl shows she's in the truck and she drives away and
Spoiler.
well, no, we're just having a chat.
No, I haven't seen the movie.
Two guys. Two. You've seen it. And so Leatherface, he's two straight dudes,
Talking about chainsaws.
you know, and he's like dancing around.
Yeah.
Don't you feel like it
to me, it's
He's-
the
he's
epitome. It's
frustrated.
the epitome of his insanity.
Yeah,
that moment.
he's-
It's like she's crazy.
what I'm curious, what is your problem about it?
Yeah.
I felt like it to me the ending wasn't satisfying. I wanted to see girl escapes, cops come,
and she's gone
you know.
crazy now.
That's
Wow,
why
you are
He gets
wow.
arrested or something? You want
Something like-
You want the fucking
That's what makes the movie great. It's like,
yeah,
studio
like-
system
Gee
version.
whiz,
But yeah,
everything's
'cause
fine.
this
Cut
one-
to 2 years later, she's married. She has kids.
Yeah, it's
She
like
converts to Judaism.
No. Converts from Judaism.
But the whole thing, that whole dance is his
Yeah.
frustration
Yeah.
and anger that
No.
he couldn't kill her.
and she's
What's-
nuts
and
by that
that's
point.
totally out
She's
of her
laughing
mind.
hysterically in the
No,
back of that
And-
truck.
But you know that another family is going to come along, another group
Exactly,
of kids is going to
exactly.
come along.
Okay.
and it's going to go back.
My
to the same-
favorite thing about that ending is that last shot of her. I don't know if it's the last shot, but it's like, but her in the back of that pickup
Pickup,
truck,
yeah.
just and you just look, the way she's acting, you go, you are never going to get over this.
It's like the guy when he sees the mummy in the original Mummy
Right.
walk away
Right.
with the thing. It's like he's
Oh,
just
yeah,
nuts.
that's
He's
good.
gone.
See, here's the funny thing. Having that explained to me as clearly as Ken did it, I get it. I understand it a little better now.
Yeah, 'cause you're the
Unlike
resolution.
when you guys tried to explain it to me the last time. We were
Get
like,
out.
oh,
Get out.
oh, he's dancing around with a chainsaw. You know, I'm just
Ken?
saying.
I hope you like Ken and Larry's Monster Party.
Ken, I have a favor.
Yeah.
Could you explain every other movie ever made to Larry?
So the ending of The Wizard of Oz. What happens? What does that mean?
Okay, see,
they're all
that's
fucking
silly.
high as hell.
No.
Yeah, it was
It's
a
beautiful show.
little,
She was on
little
heroin.
person fuckfest.
She was-
From,
Okay, all right.
You know, can I say what I love about Leatherface more than anything else?
I thought you were going to talk
His
about Wizard of
Leatherface.
Oz.
Yeah, he's going to cut people up. He's going to wear their skin.
Yeah.
But he's still got the apron on.
Yeah,
It's
and a
like,
nice tie. He
I'm
wears a
gonna-
nice
yeah.
40s tie.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
he's not
okay,
an animal.
I'm damned if I'm going to ruin these slacks from JCPenney because these are my
True.
good slacks.
Hey, you know.
I don't think those were slacks,
He
though.
is natty.
Oh, they were nice pants.
It's true.
I don't know where that came from because Ed Gein didn't. He wore a flannel shirt and jeans all the
Well,
time.
they never,
Yeah.
they never really did. Psycho is closer to that than
Isn't Deranged?
Texas Chainsaw.
Deranged is
Deranged,
the
I think.
closest.
Well,
That's
no,
really-
that's
that's
true,
really
right.
a
Well, I
mean
mean,
story.
you know, of the
And just
more
for the,
well-known movies.
Just for the record, I think it was our exploitation one episode where you guys do a toast to Ed Gein, and I'm like, okay, this is
You
really
have a memory,
distasteful.
right?
No,
Wow.
I'm just I
remember
remember thinking, what, we're toasting this guy?
It's exploitation.
Yeah, but
We're exploiting.
yes, but that's real life.
Well,
thing.
yeah.
You're not
What are
like
you,
saying-
Bernice Warden's best friend?
yeah. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
All right.
Our toast didn't bring him back from the dead.
Maybe it
horrible.
did.
He was a horrible. But I don't think he even knew what he was doing. He was so nuts.
Yeah.
And look
right.
what he contributed to horror culture.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
well, there's
Sure.
you know,
And he
that's-
was and you got to admit, he was a craftsman.
well, that's looking at the glass half full. That's
Yeah.
great.
No.
Good. Okay.
That was a guy who took pride in his work.
Okay.
True.